Previously on Shelf Life.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Some of it seems kind of like, well, yeah, that kind of is a thing. Like the giant Zordon heads. Okay, so we have giant Zordon heads.
And in the middle,
There's a pipe organ.
Is this crystal pipe organ. I wrote the same thing. I don't want to believe that. I want to believe that he spent he got a winter
back
break.
For holidays.
That Joral's like,
oh hey, I'm back from school.
Like, hello, where are you going? We have to study more. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, Father, but I have to spend Christmas with Mom.
My stepmom.
He flies out of the fortress, and we immediately cut to Metropolis, and the tone changes to a total comic strip. Yeah, we go straight to Metropolis. I don't think
you didn't do, and we're back.
And we're back to continue with Superman from 1978. We are starting. Well, we left the Fortress of Solitude. We're now in Metropolis. Now, Rachel, were you saying he went straight to Metropolis, or we went straight to Metropolis?
No, he went straight to Metropolis. Like,
there's no way.
Metropolis.
No.
You think he went somewhere else?
I think time has passed.
I think he's been in the Fortress of Solitude this entire time, and then he went straight to Metropolis. That's it.
No, again, I think he has spent some time with...
I don't even think he said hi to his mother. I think he went straight to Metropolis.
I do not think so. I think that time has passed. He went back to Kansas. He was like, hi, Ma. I'm going to go get a job as a journalist somehow. And then he went to Metropolis with all his new knowledge about how the world works, I guess.
Maybe. I don't know. All we know is that he's sending his checks there, so it doesn't matter.
I think he's a good son. I refuse to believe that he spent 12 years not talking to his mom and then was like, hi, Mom, by the way.
He went home.
I didn't leave the planet.
For holidays.
I was actually in the North Pole for the last 12 years. And now I'm in Metropolis, but don't worry, I'll send you a check. By the way, I hope everything's been okay for the last decade. No. He had to go buy that suit. He had to go get a pair of fake glasses. He had to come up with the Clark Kent character.
He probably just bought an apartment and then bought it all there. Like,
with what?
He didn't have to go to Kansas.
He had to go get some money.
I don't know.
He did not steal it.
He went home just to take money from Mom and then went to Metropolis.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Making him a better son or not, the way you say that.
No, I think he went home. He told his mom where he'd been, and then he was like, now I want to go to Metropolis, I guess because that's where the action is. He thinks he can, like, do more good there, so he's going. But I'm going to need some money, some rent money.
But, like, Metropolis isn't Kansas.
No, I think Metropolis
is New York.
New York.
It just seems so weird. I don't know. Why did he? I guess you pick the biggest.
It's where the action is.
Know.
Jor-El said you have to help humanity and all the other stuff.
Help humanity, but don't butt in. I'm still on that. You can't.
He did not say that. He did not say that.
Yes, he did.
Well, then he is directly. He's directly He said you're not supposed to change history.
You know this. He is changing history by being a superhero alien in a world where there are no superhero aliens, which is still history.
We're not going to agree on this, folks at home.
History is everything that is happening then, now, and in the future. That is history.
If it's happening now, it's happening now. That's the end of it. I will not sanction this buffoonery.
But then the history of them is going to change because now. The past of him and them knowing he's there.
Hang on, hold on. He's not a Terminator. They didn't send him to 1978 and he's changing
Well, that's what you're saying. You can't change the past. No. So he can't change history. Altering history means he can't change now or like butt in to them evolving.
No.
I don't think Kal-El and or like
Jor-El.
I don't think Jor-El is thinking that he's gonna go into the past of the humans and change everything.
I think.
How the hell is he supposed to do that? That's one of his powers, is to fucking
that's what
they're
they're foreshadowing that.
That's not the same as
making
the fucking Earth spin the different direction. That's not the same.
It must be how he knows that it can be done. Jor-El is like, I know.
Then why didn't they do that with Krypton and the goddamn sun? They could have turned the sun backwards.
No, because Superman can only do this on Earth because
he's not on Earth when he spins the Earth backwards. He's in space.
He's using their gravitational pull.
Stupid.
On Krypton, they're just normal. They're regular human. They're regular Kryptonians. None of them have the strength or speed that they would need for Krypton. They only have it because of our sun in our galaxy. I refuse to give up.
He still says not to change the history, and then here he is butting in. I'm just saying he is violating the rules, quote unquote.
Well, then I'm glad that he violated the rules. Thank you, Superman, for not obeying your father and the council or whatever.
I don't know whose rules these are. Like, okay, we have all these rules made out in case you have to go to a new planet.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do these things. Here are your...
Yeah, Jor-El is just kind of coming up with them, I think.
Your list of rules. I'm staying on this. I'm gonna keep.
That's fine. We're not gonna come up with a conclusion. We'll let the folks at home, we'll let the listeners decide. So anyway, we see the Daily Planet through the camera lens of Jimmy Olsen. We get Jimmy Olsen here. Golly gee shucks, Ms. Lane, Mr. Kent. You know Jimmy Olsen, Rachel. He's a very famous comic book character, the photographer for the Daily Planet, the kid photographer.
Okay.
I think it's an interesting way to do the cinematography too.
No, I do like
camera lens.
seeing the camera. Yeah, that's cool.
And you get to see all the different elements of the newsroom and the chaos of the newsroom, and you see Jimmy Olsen,
the interaction,
he, like, zooms in on
how
different
everybody,
people,
and how they react to him.
We meet Lois Lane, and we meet Lois Lane because Jimmy's taking a picture of her. Go ahead.
And then she asks how to spell a word.
Yeah, what word? I can't remember which word she has to spell. It's something that needs two T's.
It comes up so many times.
What is it?
Hold on, I'm looking. Because I want to name every word that she has to have spelt for her.
Well, Perry White says that there's not two P's in rapist, which I thought was funny that this quote-unquote, like, family movie, they're using the word rapist.
Well, she likes the hard-hitting stuff.
That's right.
Bloodletting.
Bloodletting,
How many T's are in bloodletting?
2.
And it, like, you gotta let's make sure they understand this, too. They're on typewriters.
Yes, they are.
There's no computers. They're on typewriters.
What a time.
So if they make a mistake, they have to rewrite everything. Okay?
Not necessarily. Well, actually, I don't know. No. Because
they'd have to, like, white it out. They'd have to go in there and have to, like, do all the things and then make sure you go on top of it. Wouldn't a
newspaper like this have typesetters? So you'd have the reporter would make the article, and then there would be like a typesetter who would, like,
but then they have to, like, set up the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
they would write it
laid out. They have it, like,
correctly.
physically laid out, and then they, like, paste stuff down, and then they, like, print through it. Yeah.
Great stuff. A better time. A typewriter is such an elegant machine.
I loved playing with a typewriter, though. That was fun. Yeah.
Grandma had that one.
And then Massacre was another one. What is this a running joke? Is this in the comic books that she can't spell?
I don't know if it's a running joke in the comic books because, again, I don't have a lot of knowledge about the comic books. I think it's a running joke for the movie that it's just like she doesn't care about the spelling.
It's more about the
she's just trying to get the story. Yeah, exactly. Right. I think that's what you're supposed to get out of this.
It's just so silly because it's like it's like every few seconds it felt like she's like, I don't know how to spell this. Oh, you spelled
those double letters.
There's only one in rapist. There's like the massacres like with 2 S's and like bloodletting has 2 T's. Every word though, I mean, it is showing that she is like a hard hitting person now that I'm
it's
like
also
thinking
the
about
way
the
to show
words.
what kind of stuff she does.
Yeah, bloodletting, massacre. It's just, it makes sense. Yeah.
The first shot of her is through Jimmy Olsen's camera, and she's like, I can't remember what she's doing before he says smile, but she like
Probably just typing.
She like poses for the camera like for a split second and then it goes back, which I thought was funny too. She is an ambitious, she is a no nonsense reporter, she is tough as nails, she is I guess wouldn't they call her a girl boss nowadays, Rachel? Isn't that the popular expression with the kids? I don't know. I don't know. But she's a very strong
strong and independent woman.
That's right. Yes, I was going to say more that she's just a strong presence, but yes, if we're taking the feminist angle on this, she's a strong, independent woman.
Strong, independent woman. Look at her.
No, I agree. I mean, for 1978 especially, people complain about that, like, oh, we have to frame it so that, girls have whatever it is. But it's like, I guess, this is 40 years ago, and like Lois Lane is this badass. Like, come on. It's not like we weren't doing this.
But it's just not as prevalent, I think, is the idea.
She's not the superhero. But, well, we'll get into different things about that.
She's a strong, independent woman, yes. But in a lot of stuff, they don't usually make women look out to be very strong, very independent, very, like, can do it themselves, can be the superhero.
Well, a lot of stuff sucks. So.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. We're going to go through it. Don't worry. It's all on the list.
That's right. Margot Kidder is playing Lois Lane. Margot Kidder, in the behind-the-scenes interviews and stuff, it's another one of these actors where I can't tell when she's being serious and when she's not being serious, but she was perfect for this role too, just like Christopher Reeve. The movie would not work without Margot Kidder as Lois Lane at all, and I think
it would.
They were auditioning a bunch of people. She came in much like Julia Louis-Dreyfus on Seinfeld. She came in wearing cowboy boots, a cowboy hat, and Richard Donner. I don't know. And Richard Donner said that his quote about Margot Kidder, which had to be after she had some issues in the 90s. We'll talk about those issues maybe down the line, like when we get to the end of the Superman series. But he says about her that he just goes, Margot's just a walking disaster. He goes, she's such a klutz. And he's like, but she was perfect because she had this heart and she had this ability to like talk back to Clark and to gush over Superman, and was just this perfect personality for it. And you get that. Yeah. The other thing that Margot Kidder did do, which did, I think, halt her career quite a bit, is she did not hold back. When we'll talk about this more in Superman 2, when the Salkinds fired Richard Donner, she went to the press and was like, fuck the Salkinds, we love Richard Donner. Yeah, so stuff happened there. But she is very, very good as Lois Lane, in my opinion. No, I think that she captures the essence of this character.
Like I was saying, I was expecting somebody softer.
Yeah.
And she's so rough, and I love it. I love that she's like so rough.
Yeah. She's clearly a smoker too. Like you can tell that this lady's flicking cigarettes. So we go into Perry White's office. Perry White, of course, the editor of the Daily Planet. Yep. The great character of Perry White. The whole energy that you get out of this scene is that it is like a comic strip. I think that's what they were trying to do. Like it would be, the camera's moving quick and they're all talking very fast and there's like little jokes here and there. I liked the one joke that she tells because she's giving Perry White her article and she says something about, the report I was writing about the sex and drug orgies in the senior citizens home. And like it goes by so quick that if you don't pick up on it, it just totally goes by.
It. Yeah. We see that Clark Kent is in the room with them. So we have the editor-in-chief, we have Lois Lane, we have little Jimmy Olsen, the photographer, and then we also have Clark Kent sitting in there.
Yes. And we see the extent that Clark Kent will go to play a doofus.
A role.
Like
say doofus. He's just kind of like the dork, like the nerd.
Yeah, he is
hello, like let me push my glasses up
he's
my
pushing the glasses
nose.
up, and I get it. Like he wants
It to completely opposite of Superman.
That's right, because he's trying to be incognito, and the way to do that is to just be the dorkiest person he can possibly imagine. Now, he is the dorkiest person that you can possibly imagine, but at this point, Chris Reeves for the part went from like 180 pounds to like 210 or something like that. So he's just this hulking figure. He's like 6'4", and he's like, "Oh, hello everyone, I'm Clark Kent."
Right.
And it's like, well, are you Clark Kent, but you're also like an NFL linebacker? Like, what are we doing?
He just works out. He just works out. It's no big deal.
He
sits at the desk all day. He's got to make sure he stays fit.
And of course, as always, it is one of those things where you just have to accept the fact that Superman doesn't wear a mask, so it'd be pretty obvious to figure out who he is, but no one really does. He's fine.
No,
it's fine.
It's very difficult to see the change in tone, the glasses, and then the little curly Q. We haven't seen the little curly Q in his hair yet.
Curly Q.
But it's coming.
Clark apparently gets this job because he's a very fast typer, which makes sense because he's Superman. And White is going to give Clark the city beat, which Lois gets mad at because she's like, "That's my beat." And White says, well, he's going to be good for it because he's young and he can do all this stuff and he can type really quickly. Clark is saying some stuff back to Perry White, and you get the idea that Lois is like, "Oh, don't tell me." He's going to send half of his check to his old gray-haired mother.
He's like, sweet old lady, like his sweet old mother back in, some small town. Like she says it like that. Yeah. And then he goes,
and Clark's like, he says like, well, she's actually got like white hair or gray hair or whatever he says. So he's just like, wow, you are not real. She thinks of him as being just this like aberration, this out of time, out of place type of character. He doesn't belong in Metropolis in 1978. He belongs in an old world. That's what I get out of it anyway. Because she does seem to have, she kind of steps on him. She kind of is like making fun of him. But at the same time, I think she has like some sort of respect for how much of a goody-goody he is, too.
Probably. I mean, she probably likes that. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, at least you sound like you're actually a nice guy. But you also sound like, is this even real?
Oh, she even says... She also says, "Any more at home like you?" And he says, not really, no. So like it's kind of, which is true.
We've seen that's not a nerd.
Huh?
She wants a brother. She wants a brother that looks like him, but's not the not the nerd.
Yes, yeah.
That's what she wants.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense because if it was somebody that was a little more macho, but he still had the same personality type, she'd be into him. Because
Lois... I don't even know if it's just the personality type. He's attractive, but he's so dorky. Like, I think she's more so like, well, you're good looking, and you're like the nice guy.
Do
you have like a non-dorky brother?
Right. Because Lois,
which is like Clark... the old school way of thinking of it.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Because they're both so horny during this period of the movie.
Oh my god!
Like it gets pretty ridiculous.
I couldn't believe it.
But this is I
wrote down. I have a note that I can't wait to bring up.
Okay, because this movie. My god. And there's this giant messy setup in the Daily Planet. I love the look of it. It's just very messy. Clark meets Lois at the bottom of the elevator, and they talk about his first day and how is he liking it, how's he liking Metropolis, all this stuff. And he's just, well, I think everybody's been so nice. And,
Oh, no. And he says they've been swell.
That's right.
Love swell. That he says swell, because I was like making fun of him earlier when I was just like, and I was like, oh, he's gonna be like, he's like that swell kind of guy.
That's
then he
swell.
said it, and I loved it because she's like, did you just say swell? She's like, oh my god, she's pointing it out.
Yeah, she badgers him for saying it. I do have a question about this. Maybe a couple. So one, he's been gone for 12 years. And I don't know what the colloquialisms changed between 1966 and 1978. maybe it was a little bit better for him to be saying swell because he was in the Fortress of Solitude or he was at Thanksgiving dinner with Ma. So it's not like he was doing a lot of socializing in this time.
Well, he's from a small town
and he's
big
from
metropolis.
a small town. Right. So this is my second question, though. How much of this is an act, and how much of this is Clark Kent?
Good question.
Because I think they're clearly the opposites, right? They have these different identity. Superman, I think, is more like Clark Kent, the real Clark Kent, I think.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this bumbling, dorky stuff is the act, but how much of the verbiage that he uses like that is how Clark would talk if he could just be himself?
Sure. I would think that Clark Kent himself and Superman would both use the word swell.
Okay.
I do think that they both would use the word swell. I think it's just the
well,
demeanor.
I'm glad that you caught the thief. That's real swell. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I think it's just the demeanor, like how he holds himself as dorky Clark Kent. That is actually like the show, right? So like when he couldn't open the bottle in the office, like and it sprays everywhere.
I forgot about
stuff
that.
like that.
Yeah, we passed over that part where he's for some reason he's got like a Perrier. He's got like some Perrier.
I think he asked him if he wanted a drink or something.
Okay.
And then Lois couldn't get it, so she just handed it to him and kept talking because it's like, you do it. I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna deal with it.
He couldn't get it open. She smacks it on the table and then gives it back to him again, and then it like sprays everywhere.
Right. It's the first time that Clark Kent gets humiliated because he gets all over his pants. I think he was trying to get her to touch his pants, personally.
I mean,
so that was a clear opening.
Turned on they both are this entire time. Good God.
So there is a lot of action happening on screen and in the background. There's somebody's like selling vegetables. There's like a bunch of people on the street. All of the stuff is happening in the background. And it's a
big city. It never stops. I
like that though because
going on.
I feel like nowadays when you get the background characters like that, they just be walking around. You can tell like there's little personality quirks with like all the people that are the extras in the behind the scenes stuff. It gives it a little more flair. Oh, it makes it a little more lively, like a comic strip.
What if that vegetable stand was actually there, and those are actually just real people?
Like they just
because all they're doing is recording them like come out of like the twirly door, the circle door.
Yeah,
and then...
that's the way movies.
Maybe they're like, oh, this is great because there's like a vegetable stand like just right there.
The way movies shoot, they wouldn't be able to do that. But
maybe
yes,
back in the day.
if they did a rogue shoot of Superman with, I mean, sometimes they do shoots where you can see. Like, Ghostbusters has a couple of scenes like that where you can just see like the people in the background don't know it's a movie, so they are like they're like side eyeing them like running down the street or whatever. There definitely are movies that are like that. I know there's a few shots in Ghostbusters. I don't know if there's shots in this.
There's Ghostbusters where he does like the dancing thing. Oh God, Elf, where he's running around New York. They said that they just kind of let him do whatever the hell he wanted to.
Okay.
And he was actually interacting with real people.
Gotcha.
So like the reactions were real.
Okay.
And then there was a third one that I thought of and now I can't think of it. I don't remember now. Never mind.
Those two
I do remember.
Well, the interesting thing about this is it's clearly mocked up to be Metropolis, which is clearly a stand-in for New York. But all of this was shot in England, so everything they had to import stuff in from the US to make it look more American.
Okay.
So it clearly was like a set, but I don't know if it's outside or not. Yeah. So they're walking down the street, Lois and Clark, and they get a gun pulled on them from a guy in an alley.
Yeah, what is this?
Is crime so bad in Metropolis that this can just happen randomly? Like, how bad is crime that it's 5:00 or whatever, like they're just left work and this guy's just like,
I mean, he's like, I'm gonna mug you, like, come here,
yeah, give me the money.
Like, put you in this back alley for a second, like come out from the public view into this back alley. Don't just run away. Like I would have just ran away.
You do get a little bit of the mix of Clark and Superman, because the first thing he does is he steps in between. Her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then he does kind of go back to being sheepish Clark Kent, because he's like, oh, we better do what he says, Lois. And they go into the alley. Clark acts stupid, and he tries to tell the gunman that the gun isn't the answer, and you can't solve your problems with a gun. And the thief is, for a second, he's like, oh yeah, you're right, mister, you're right. And then he like points the gun further, because Clark is like, oh, see, he didn't really want to shoot anybody at all. And Lois is like, yeah, right. And of course the situation escalates. Lois, being Lois, drops the purse to give to the thief, and Clark's like,
totally
Lois, what are you doing? And instead of
kicks him in the face.
Yes, she just kicks this guy in the face. The guy, in retaliation, shoots.
Yep.
And Clark catches the bullet, and then he pretends to have passed out. Lois thinks he was shot for a second, then realizes that he was fainted, and he gets disgusted. This is where you almost get Clark Kent winking at the camera.
He did wink at the camera.
No, I don't think he does. I don't think he does.
Break. She walks away. He shows us the bullet, and he like smiles at the camera. Bullshit that he didn't actually look at the camera. He did. I went, oh my god, he just broke the fourth wall.
On first viewing, I thought so too, but she walks toward they get away with it a little bit. I think they did want to do a wink at the camera, but she walks toward the camera off screen, and he's turning to look at her and smirking about the fact that he like, got away with doing Superman.
Is it just that? So he wasn't actually looking at us?
I don't think he was looking at us. If you look at it again,
such a fourth wall.
His face is not right at the camera. It's slightly to the left, and he doesn't actually wink, but he does smirk, and it makes it almost look like he's breaking the fourth wall. I think that's what they wanted to do, so that
kind of like just toying with it.
It looks like for those that are used to that kind of, breaking the fourth wall thing, that's what it was for sure. But I think they didn't quite do that.
Oh, he doesn't quite turn all the way. I thought he smirked at the camera.
The first time I watched it, I thought so too. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, he's looking at her. Like, I did the same thing.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought it was. Oh, well.
Clark knows exactly what's in her purse. He gives up the ghost a little bit there. He should have been... I guess he's not used to being Clark Kent with the Superman powers too.
Well, because he's like interacting with people now.
Yeah.
As this new character that he's created.
Right. Yeah. So he doesn't have it all completely down pat yet.
Yeah. All you gotta do is say, "Is it worth risking your life?" And then saying just something random for a few bucks, and then that's it. Just stop. Just stop right there.
Yeah.
Don't get very detailed with how much you think what's in her purse, because then I'd get creeped out and think you've been going through my stuff at work. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, that's what I would have thought too. Like, this fucking creep at work was going through my stuff.
Weird pervert. No.
Oh, great. They hired Kent. He's a big pervert.
Oh, God. Instead, she was mystified by it, I think. I don't know. Maybe she just
I don't know what she thought. Yeah, I mean, she seems to be fine with them, so she didn't think much. She probably just rolled her eyes and moved on, because that's kind of how she would be.
Like, oh, whatever. Like, good guess, I guess.
The next thing we get is we are introduced to Otis. We don't know his name yet, but it's Ned Beatty, the great Ned Beatty. Oh, he's a big dumb moof kind of guy, and he's a henchman. It's a very, very cartoony role. Yeah, this is what you don't like.
Yeah,
you didn't like this part.
No, I don't. I guess. See, okay, we're not totally at Lex Luthor and his henchmen and how they interact with each other yet, but. Not what I was expecting. Not what I was expecting, and very confused by all of it, because I was just maybe I'm getting him confused with the Kingpin or something, because I would think that he'd want smart or more intelligent and useful individuals around him, not this bumbling oaf.
I have a theory for this. because I have a headcanon ability here for this one. I think so. Lex is such a narcissist.
Right.
And he's
that's very apparent.
And he is a genius. He is a genius.
Sure.
That he doesn't want anyone near his intellectual level because he doesn't want anyone to come up with anything that could be considered an idea better than his.
Then he has like real like self-esteem issues then if he thinks that he can't have someone that's a little bit more intelligent because they could possibly be smarter than him, even though I think he already thinks he's smarter than everybody in the world. So
he does.
How could you have somebody smarter than you? And I doubt they're going to talk back to you if they are intelligent because they don't want to lose their job.
The other possibility
this guy talks back to him and he's a dumb oaf. Like, it's just annoying.
It is bizarre. It's very cartoony. Yeah, it is.
It gets even more cartoony with these three. I feel like this is the part that was very over the top, campy, cartoonish, and they had to dumb it, and they had to like tone it down a little bit. And this is where they toned it down to.
Probably, and it's a sign of the times. This is how the villains are. And he declares himself a criminal mastermind. Like, it's not exactly subtle.
No, I know, but it's just like, I guess because he's also like the businessman evil guy, right? Which is a lot of the time typical. And like I said, like the
Lex
Kingpin,
Luthor.
He wants smart guys that are like, can actually get the goddamn job done, right? Stuff like that is what I'm expecting. And then I get Lex Luthor and his bumbling oaf.
Yep.
It's just like, you don't even have like a butler that like is a bit more like
I don't know if in
useful?
The comics Lex has a lot of henchmen, to be honest. I always think of him as more of like a Doctor Doom-ish type of character.
Yeah, but I still really okay. But you don't.
I don't really know because I just haven't listened or read a lot of Superman stuff. He became the president in the comic books at some point. Because, I mean, Lex Luthor would, if he ran for president, even in this world with the Christopher Reeve verse.
Oh, he would have been president.
He would have been elected president.
He would have been elected president. Absolutely. I 100% agree on
He knows how to manipulate people.
Yeah,
he manipulates Superman later.
Yeah, he does.
So the cops are on the trail of Otis, and they're thinking that maybe he will lead them to Luthor. So Luthor is clearly known by the cops. He is a wanted criminal. He's a criminal genius. Mm-hmm. I like the joke where Otis is at one of the newsstands and he just tells him, like, oh, I'm just picking up the planet here, Jerry, or whatever the guy's name is.
Right.
And he grabs a pretzel, too, and the dog, because the guy's blind, because Otis was trying to get away with it, the dog starts barking. Yeah. And he's like, fine, I grabbed the pretzel. It's a good joke. You get the idea that they know that Otis is one of his pawns, so they start following him. And Otis heads into the subway station, and he heads to the side of this railway.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that the cop kind of figures it out. So the train goes by, and Otis is standing there. He's in front of like this door, and the train goes by, and Otis is gone. So the cop realizes, oh, he must be behind this door. So he goes up to the door, and the walkie-talkie still worked, which I was shocked by, because it's like, you are in the subway system of Metropolis. How in the world is this walkie-talkie still working? If you are that low, good luck getting Wi-Fi to work, much less a walkie-talkie.
Any signals. Yeah, I'm surprised the radio signals work, but it's just like, maybe that's better.
Maybe they actually worked better. Yeah,
than
maybe
like regular Wi-Fi or like anything that has to go to a tower or something, right?
Yeah. Our friends in law enforcement and or walkie-talkie enthusiasts or people that have jobs with walkie-talkies, let us know. What's the situation there? Could you do that in a subway? I want to know. So anyway, he goes behind the secret door, which I thought was kind of neat. Right. I have a very big opinion about this lair. We'll get to that in a second. So the cop realizes what?
Anyways, go on.
The cop realizes it as Otis, complete with tuba music. Otis gets tuba music here. I love it.
Music.
He got tuba music because he's like, boom, 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 boom. He walks into Lex's lair. Lex is monitoring all of this on monitors, and he forces the cop to basically get pushed in front of this train.
Oh my god!
And this dude he gets run over by a train in a Superman movie from 1978. I did not expect that at all.
No.
Like, this is a gruesome death.
It is.
And the cops come in and find him. Well, they find his hat, but we don't get much follow-up after that.
We don't get to see the body.
We don't get to see a body.
I think that's what it is. I think they pick up the hat, or they show the hat, but they don't show anything else because it's like, oh, they find him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, he'd be in pretty bad shape for getting run over by a speeding subway. We get Lex Luthor, played by Gene Hackman, the great Gene Hackman. Wasn't sure if he wanted to do this. Thought that if he signed on to play Lex Luthor, it would taint his career because he was known as a serious actor, and he was like, if I go in to do this silly Superman movie, it's not gonna be good. When Marlon Brando signed on, he actually realized, like, okay, maybe I can get away with it, because if Brando can get away with it, then maybe I can get away with it.
Brando's in this.
So then he signed on. He didn't want to shave his mustache. The story that they tell, which again, all of these people have these stories, and you have no idea if they're actually, how much they're embellishing them. Right. But the story that they tell is that Richard Donner met him, and Richard Donner told him, well, if you shave your mustache, I'll shave mine. So Gene Hackman said, great. And he showed up the next day with his mustache shaved, and Richard Donner still had a mustache, and he pulled it off because it was a fake mustache, because Richard Donner didn't really have a mustache, because he had heard that Gene Hackman didn't want to shave the mustache for the part.
My God.
They could not get Gene Hackman to shave his head for the part, which Lex Luthor famously bald.
Well, I guess I shouldn't.
Yes, they do it. No, they imply it later, because they imply it later in the lair. There's wigs everywhere, so he is bald, but that's real. He's not wearing a wig in the movie.
No,
that's his hair.
That's his hair.
And they styled it different.
Weird.
Yeah, they styled it different to make it look like he was wearing wigs, but it's not really.
Because I was just like, maybe he loses his hair later, is all I kept thinking. I was like, maybe he loses his hair later or something. I don't know. Because I was like, weird that he has hair and he's Lex Luthor.
Well, did you catch the wigs, though?
Yeah, I caught the wigs.
Yeah.
So then maybe he's just embarrassed by his bald head, and then... Or he's only the mastermind, like, villain when he takes off the wig, because later he, like, rips it off. I don't know. It's very weird.
Oh, like his secret identity is with
the wig because he takes off the wig, and I guess he's wearing like a bald cap at that point, because he goes like, I'm Lex Luthor, master villain, or whatever.
Yeah, that's weird too. Yeah, that's where he like decides, I guess, not to bother. Yeah, or like, does he think he's in disguise because he's got the wig
he's just
on?
Rich man like Lex with the wig, and then without the wig he's like mastermind Lex. I don't know.
We also get Lex's other henchman, Miss Teschmacher, played by Valerie Perrine, which I'll do it once because I'll lose my voice if I do it multiple times. But throughout this movie, Lex just keeps going, Miss Teschmacher! For no reason.
Oh my God.
Whatsoever. I don't know why.
Every time. He screams for her, he screams for him. It's just like, okay. Calm down. This is what I mean. If you didn't want to have to scream all the time, you could get people that are competent. So she's way more competent than the bumbling oaf, though.
She absolutely is. And she calls him sick for killing the cop.
Which, I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah. He goes on this little tirade about how he's a criminal mastermind and all of this stuff. And he asks why he surrounds himself with nincompoops. And I'm thinking, like, yes, like you said, like, yes, why do you surround yourself with nincompoops? You know what the other thing could be? Maybe all the Lex scenes are from the perspective of Lex. So they're not really that stupid, but Lex in his head sees see? That's interesting,
that's how he sees them, but they're not actually this incompetent.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Give me that Superman movie. Just call it Luthor.
Oh.
Yeah, just like there was supposed to be that Robin Hood movie told from the standpoint of the Sheriff of Nottingham, which would have been really interesting, and then they just didn't do that. Like same thing.
Oh, that's disappointing.
I would like some movies from like the superheroes villains perspectives. They do that in the comics.
The problem is that the villain movies that they have been putting out for like they might not be like superhero villains, but the villain movies they are putting out are giving them hero arcs. So I feel like they'd end up doing that with the villains.
You do the like, anti-hero thing. Though. You can still have them be villainous. It's just that people,
but they aren't doing that. Is what I'm saying. So
the
if they
Joker, I will disagree and say that I don't think Joker had a heroic arc. I think
no, the Joker did, and I wasn't thinking about the Joker.
Which one were you thinking of?
I said I wasn't talking about superhero villains.
Oh, okay. I can't think of a movie where it's like from the villain's perspective, but it's like they get a heroic arc.
Maleficent.
Cruella. I haven't seen those.
They're not shown as bad people. They're shown as, well, people were assholes to them, so now they're like, well, we're just gonna fucking fight back. That's legitimately how they're showing them, and it's like, sure. Well, now you're giving them a good side, but they're just supposed to be a villain.
I think. Like, well, why can't they be a villain? I think that's one way you can go, but I also think that you can make one where they're just assholes. Like, they don't have to be
a villain.
Yeah, Maleficent.
So, I think the Joker, like that's legit.
Yeah, but even that, you could say they make you sympathize with him, and I really didn't like that movie.
He was lying the whole fucking time. That was from his perspective.
But we'll get into that when we'll do Joker one day. So anyway, I have to talk about this lair because it's made out of an old abandoned subway station, and it's pretty sweet.
It's crazy looking.
This is a pretty awesome lair. Lex, you should just stay here. You should not bother with any of this criminal mastermind stuff. Just enjoy having this abandoned subway station. It makes him a little bit like a Ninja Turtle. He does live like a Ninja Turtle. Like, do you think that the Ninja Turtles own the subway station next door to Lex Luthor?
They possibly do. They could, yeah.
You think that anytime like Lex is just like, this damn kids with their skateboards next door.
The Ninja Turtles. He just constantly smells pizza.
Oh, hey, Lex. Oh, it's old man Luthor. We're gonna steal his wigs.
They threw toilet paper on his like statues into like library and stuff.
Turtles!
Oh no!
Give me that crossover with Lex.
It could be ridiculous. It also reminded me of, oh my god, remember the 5th of November. What is that called?
V for Vendetta? Oh yeah, he does live in like an abandoned station in that too.
And he has all that fancy shit.
Yeah, it's a real theme.
It is a theme.
I don't know what it is, but it's a theme. He says he's going to be involved in real estate swindles, and he holds up a piece of paper which says that there's nuclear tests taking place. Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear. You can't quite tell how that has anything to do with anything, which I guess makes it a good plan, because the second time you watch this, you can put the pieces together of like the foreshadowing of everything, but you're like, what does that have to do with anything with a real estate plan?
Sure.
So Ms. Teschmacher asks him, why is it always real estate? And Lex says his father told him.
Ms. Teschmacher, when I was 6 years old, my father said to me,
"Get out."
Before that, he said, son, stocks may rise and fall. Utilities and transportation systems may collapse. People are no damn good, but they will always need land, and they'll pay through the nose to get it. Remember, my father said, land.
That stocks and bonds go up and down, and they rise and fall, but land is always a great investment, which was true prior to about 2008. Lex says it's ridiculous how much stuff costs up on the surface world, so it's better to be the mole man down here underneath, because you get this entire you get this whole freaking sweet penthouse, and it is sweet. I would take this Lex Luthor lair in a minute.
Yeah, but I mean, you are kind of like shut in. You know, you're not.
Otis goes to the surface. If you weren't a criminal,
I don't know. Yeah.
If you weren't a criminal and you just lived in this abandoned station, you know, the one thing that they don't show you is how much shaking there would be every time one of the subways above you
Oh, yeah. You'd think that there'd be, like, a lot of extra noise and stuff going on.
Yeah, there's probably some of that you're not getting. But I did think it was a very timely message about how the real estate prices are way too expensive, so he's not going to get some Park Avenue penthouse.
They live under Park Avenue.
That's right.
Well, I mean, but still, like, if you're a villain, this is fantastic. You have, like, it is the penthouse under the ground, right? She wants the view, though. She wants the air.
I mean, I guess the New York
air back
we
then
find out later that
New York air probably now isn't even that great. So maybe living
Metropolis
underground is better for them.
Metropolis air might be clean. Might be the.
I bet it's not. Maybe this is another reason Superman's there. He's just like, we're gonna clean up this city with actual like air pollution stuff as well.
Yeah, he should suck in all the air pollution.
And then just blows it into something else and just destroys, like...
I'm surprised that wasn't part of Superman 4, because that was Chris Reeves'
blow it into the space.
Back at the planet, White is in just a fury. And we get this is a great cinematic shot we get here. It is a long dolly shot. You go around the entire newsroom, and you go from like table to table, person to person. It's filmmaking at its finest. It really is.
Oh,
folks.
I do like that. Yeah.
You go around, you see all the chaos that gives you an idea of how the newsroom works. It keeps your eyes on the characters, all of these characters that you've met and that you know, and it allows you to get a little bit of a slice of life into the workings of the Daily Planet. And then Clark asks Lois out, but Lois takes a rain check on it. She's going to meet the president's plane. She says she's going to meet Air Force One to get an interview.
Right. Which is Jesus. That's a big interview.
She's Lois Lane. She's their best reporter, I guess.
That's true. That's very true.
So, and she's that hell-bent on being there when the plane lands. I feel like if you were to meet, even in 1978, you're meeting Jimmy Carter at the airport or wherever the Air Force One lands.
Deal, though.
I feel like you'd still have to get some clearance to be able to be there.
She probably does. I mean, she's gonna go in. She's gonna give her the she's probably gonna show up, like flash the badge and say, "Look, I'm a news reporter," and they'll be like, "Okay, you have to stay behind this line, but you have to be over there." You know?
Okay. Yeah.
So I think that is her clearance. So she does get to go do something like that. But I think it's a big deal to actually be there when they land down. I think that's always been a big deal.
Oh yeah, no, I think that definitely always is a big deal. I just thought that, I guess, if she has that clearance, then she's probably good. So yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that one. I will sanction that buffoonery. Where were we? So she tells Clark, because he asks if she can go with him or if he can drop her off or whatever. And she says, only if you can fly, because it's such a long way. And it's because he can fly. And then there's a funny little scene of Clark having to wait for an elevator. Yeah. I did want to know why it lets Chris Reeves show off his range in playing Clark Kent as a goof, but why does he keep the ruse up when total strangers are going by?
He has to. No matter what, if they're strangers or not, he is Clark Kent right now.
Yeah.
He has to be, just no matter what.
Do you think
otherwise that just like destroys everything?
But do you think walking home from work, he pushes the glasses up and still does it all?
Oh yeah.
All right. It's pretty dedicated.
He doesn't know when like another person he might know is there. He has to keep up his persona. The only time he is not Clark Kent is probably at home by himself and when he's Superman. He has to keep up the persona.
It's like that old magician in The Prestige that had to walk bow-legged forever.
Oh my god.
There's a reference for you. Top that, folks. So anyway, the planet, it must be doing really well because they've got their own helicopter.
Yes!
So newspapers in 1978 doing great. There's a scene with the helicopter landing. I think that this could have been quickened for some other stuff. I think that they could have done this faster or cut this scene down a little bit.
I guess they thought it was cool because they got to have a helicopter.
Yeah, like it is a real helicopter landing on a set or whatever, but they could have put some more character stuff in and I think just had the helicopter there. You didn't have to show it landing. And we see that there's a loose wire or like a cable or something that is below the helicopter's landing spot. And Lois gets in, and as the copter takes off, it goes loose and it grabs the helicopter's what would you call that? Like leg? What is that called? Folks at home, I'm not a helicopter pilot. I don't know what the ski legs on the bottom of the helicopter are called.
I guess that's all they would be, is kind of like the legs of the helicopter. Yeah.
Should I look this up just for the hell of it? The anatomy of a helicopter. Landing struts or runners. Okay, runners.
Struts or skids. They're also called skids.
I like the term runner. I'm going to go with that. So it connects to the runner, and
I'm keeping that all in. So
I know you are. I know you are.
I'm not gonna cut it out and make it sound like you're a genius.
I know. I appreciate that. I am a genius. I'm a criminal mastermind. And the copter begins to crash because it can't take the weight. This is all very good. It's all practical. I think this is all very good. It's very epic. It shows how the movies should be made because you can tell it's really happening. It doesn't look fake because it's real. It's a real helicopter doing this. Mm-hmm. You enhance the stuff with CGI, like we said. Like some of this could have been done safer with CGI, but you should still start with the practical and enhance it with the CGI. Yes. So anyway, the copter is hanging from the side of the top of the building. And people are looking above, and Lois falls because the pilot passed out. Lois falls out of the helicopter and is hanging on to the side of it as Clark exits the building.
Horrifying.
And he looks up and realizes he needs to turn to Superman. And there's a good little bit here where he goes by what he thought would be a phone booth, but it's already like those are like already
it's like
out
a very
of date.
Open booth.
Yeah, so he like looks at it, he's like, damn. And he like has to keep walking. The score here is perfect. Because you just got that dun 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 dun. An iconic shot. This is iconic. This is one of the greatest shots in movie history. In my opinion. Clark opening the shirt and you see
my God,
the S.
yes.
It's just that little
right
second.
there.
Yeah, that is Superman. Dun, 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 dun. And he goes into a revolving door and he spins really fast, and then he's just wearing the outfit. And I think this is a pimp. And he's like, that is a sweet outfit.
Oh, I didn't think it was a pimp. I guess I didn't know what it was.
He might not have been a pimp, but it was him, and he had a kind of a pimp mobile looking car, and then there was two ladies that might have been dressed provocatively. So I made assumptions about about this gentleman. He might have just been somebody that, was very stylish at the time.
I mean, it was very stylish.
And he thought that Superman was very stylish. I would have loved in a jokier movie, this guy would have come back like 20 minutes or like in the third act and wearing
had,
a cape.
The same colors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, or like he's just in the background. Like you don't see it. Like they don't talk to him.
Yeah,
but
they don't say anything about him. He's just there. Yeah, exactly.
You got a paint job to the car or something. Yeah.
Lois falls off the roof and Superman catches her with relative ease. And you see him fly for the first time. He's hovering. The copter begins to fall and he catches that with his other hand and he takes it back to the roof. And the people applaud at the bottom, and Lois is shocked at this.
Applaud. I mean, maybe they would applaud, but I would be a little scared. I guess, like, how would you react? Hold on. You got to think about it this way. These things do not exist in the world, okay? This alien is not prevalent. There aren't superheroes, right? All of a sudden, this guy is flying in the air and is grabbing shit. I don't know. I don't know how I would react. Would I applaud? I don't know. I would probably be really confused.
You would applaud that the helicopter didn't fall on top of you. So you'd be relieved and excited about that. So I think you would applaud. Then you'd piss your pants because you'd be like, what is this?
Who is this person?
Did the Russians figured out how to create superhumans? Oh my God, we're screwed. Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's where you would go with it. But I think the first thing you would do is probably be like, oh, excellent. He saved that lady.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those weird things where it's like they immediately go, "Oh my god, this guy's amazing. This guy's amazing. Look at him fly." Like, that's fine. Like, I'm just going like, the guy's just flying and he's just picking shit up without like lifting a finger. Like, it's
this
so weird.
reminded me a little bit of, I can't remember if it's in the first couple of Spider-Man, but it's in Spider-Man 3 for sure at the end when the whole audience is watching Spider-Man try to save Mary Jane. And I mean, that movie's bad, but it's like the corniness of it too.
True.
But like, you know, that they do it in that too. They're applauding. It's Spider-Man, yay! So like, it's a superhero trope that this movie started.
But they know who Spider-Man is at that point.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
This is like the first showing of Superman.
But again, he does save the day. He does save the day.
This is true. So you're just like, oh, well, hopefully, cross your fingers. This guy's actually like a good guy. He's not going to try to kill us all, considering.
And they're pretty high up. For all you know, it was the Metropolis police just got some sort of advanced robot
guy on like a rope that like whoosh and like grabs her.
You don't know.
I don't know.
He was on wires. I don't know.
Hey,
you think that guy's actually flying? He's on fucking wires. Get out of here. He wasn't fucking flying. He was an illusion. It's a fucking robot.
Yeah, but the robots back then are gonna be doing stuff like this either. They're just claw machines at that point.
It's advanced. You put all that money in the military, you get a big robot. It's fine.
Metropolis sounds an awful lot like New York.
Fucking New York. Don't get me started on New York. Stole our whole gimmick. So anyway, at the top of the roof, Superman leaves.
Well, I certainly hope this little incident hasn't put you off flying, miss. Statistically speaking, of course, it's still the safest way to travel.
Because Superman is corny and he has to still say...
He's making sure she feels okay.
Say these platitudes.
Don't be scared. It's all right.
And then a good little moment here where Lois asks, "Who are you?" And he just responds, "A friend." I thought that was very Superman-y. Where it's just like,
Superman-y.
No need to thank me, I'm just a friend.
But Lois, to me, has the right reaction. She finally asked him, right? Because she like had this and she's probably in shock as well.
Sure.
But she asks him who he is. He flies away and waves to her, and then she just faints, like out of shock. Yeah. Probably from both almost dying in a helicopter and also this man flew away.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about that either. But yes. I think it's
that's the reaction that makes more sense to me.
Oh no, I mean I might faint, but I would shit myself first and then probably faint. Like they'd find me, I'd have my pants would be soiled when they're trying to wake me up.
Oh no!
Also, I don't think Superman would save me. I'm not as attractive as Margot Kidder, so I don't know if I'd have a chance. But so we get a montage of Superman being heroic. I honestly, Rachel, I think that there are flaws in this movie, and we have and we will continue to talk about them. I think everything with Superman, though, is actually pretty good. I really like this montage of Superman just being Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, you can disagree. I think it's very...
We're not to the scene. We're not to the scene where he's Superman.
No, I'm talking about this is him being Superman.
Oh, no,
this is him doing Superman stuff.
This is good. Yeah, he's flying around. He's having a
There's
good time.
A dude climbing the side of a building trying to rob it.
I love this scene, actually. This is a good spot. I love this part.
Spider-Man, he's doing the suction cups to the side. I always want to know if this actually works. Has anybody ever actually tried this in real life, or is this only a comic book movie thing?
I think Mythbusters did something with this, with the suction cups.
Did they prove it?
I think it was plausible, but I think it was like almost impossible because like you're carrying yourself, and then it has to
you got your weight. It would need to
properly.
Lou Ferrigno should have been there. Yeah, okay. Folks at home, let us know. Is this possible? Is this a thing? Has anybody ever done this? And you cut to the dude climbing the side of the building, and Superman is standing on the side of the building,
I
like
love
Spider-Man.
That.
And he asks, "Is something wrong with the elevator?" And the dude falls as you would, and he has the appropriate reaction for you, Rachel.
Yes, he did have the appropriate reaction.
Superman overruns him and catches him. And I feel like if he would have caught him as the dude was, the way that he catches him, just like,
yes.
I feel like this dude would have been just mush in Superman's hand. Like, his body would have just like, it would have been nothing.
I don't think he fell far enough for that to happen.
He didn't reach terminal velocity?
No, I don't think he fell far enough for that to happen. Okay. But I do like how they shot that scene. You know how they would have shot that scene.
They just turned the camera
it's
sideways,
it's all perspective. I know, but it's just clever, and I like
it. It is clever.
I like the old clever stuff.
Of course, it's great. The next one is there's thieves shooting it out with the cops. They make it to their getaway boat, which I like the idea of having a getaway boat. That's nice. Yeah. And Superman sees it from the sky. He's just flying around, and all but two make it out. I do love that the cop calls them turkeys. I just love that as a 70s. I don't think that there's any like discriminatory context to that. I think we should bring back calling people turkeys. It's such a good insult. You turkey. I eat you for Thanksgiving, you turkey.
Oh my god.
It's such a good
like a Luke Cage, you jive turkey.
Yeah, exactly. The crooks are sitting there counting their money, and when they see Superman standing on the boat, a guy tries to whack him with a crowbar, and it does nothing. And then back at a precinct,
preferred the crowbar to bend the other way.
I would have too.
That's very cartoony, but at the same time, it just feels right.
Yeah, you're right. Missed opportunity. Superman. Yeah, missed opportunity. Yeah, it should have bent around him. You're right.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that's what I thought of when like Superman gets hit by a crowbar. It should bend.
I like that idea. Go back now. You change human history and go back and tell Dick Donner they need to get this thing to bend.
Well, I don't think that's going to be possible.
Dick, perfect movie. One little note from the 2020s. What I need you to do is bend this crowbar.
Yes. And maybe...
watch out for Richard Lester. He's going to take your job.
And that scene that's a few scenes later, cut it shorter. Cut it shorter.
Back at the precinct, the cop that Superman got the robber arrested. He like found a cop and he told the robber like, "No, sir, I think you have to listen to this man. He's going to confess something to you.
He's going to tell you a good story."
Yeah, confession's good for the soul. And the cop tells the sergeant that he saw Superman, and the dude doesn't believe him. He's like, "Why don't you go back to the bar?" And Superman left a boat in front of the building.
How expensive is that going to be for them to get that boat out of the damn?
This was a little rude of Superman.
In the middle of the street.
Yeah, I assume they're just going to give the bill to the robbers, but it's a little rude. He's trying to make a point. Like Superman's trying to be a little theatrical.
Maybe they stole the boat too. I don't know.
And then,
but then they see him fly away.
Right. So then they realize that he's real. And then because no problem is too small for Superman, he literally saves a cat from a tree.
Yep.
I loved it.
Yes, he does. He saves a cat from a tree to this weird-looking little girl.
Reeve does this good job. He makes this flying motion every time he flies. He's got one arm out. Sometimes he has the two arms out, depending on how fast he's trying to go. I think Christopher Reeve decided to do that and everything. I thought I liked that.
How else would you fly?
Well, because he doesn't have to do that to fly. Like,
I know, but what else would you do to fly? Would you just have your arms down?
I think he could. Yeah, I guess you're right. Like, you have to do something. I got to do something with my arms. Dad, what am I supposed to do with my arms?
No, but this weird little girl, okay? This weird little girl.
I have a question about this.
I do too!
Okay, go ahead. You
go
first.
It's the same question. So the weird little girl takes the cat back, like, from, I guess,
I think it's the same question. Whatever. Okay, go ahead.
Goes into the house and says that this man came and saved the cat from the tree, right? And the mom says, according to the closed captions, female number 3 says, "Haven't I told you to stop telling lies?" And then I'm pretty sure I hear like a smack.
Mommy! Frisky was stuck in the tree. This man swooped out of the sky and gave him to me. Haven't I told you to stop telling lies?
And I'm like, did this little girl just get slapped?
Yeah, that's what I wrote. That was my question. Does this girl get slapped for having Superman rescue her cat?
I got really worried. I was like, Superman, you gotta get back there.
I'm pretty sure that the mom slaps this kid. It's the 70s. We were slapping kids left and right. You could walk down the street and just say, "Hey, Jimmy," and slap him right in the face. Yeah, folks at home, let us know. Does this kid get slapped? I'm thinking yes. It's such a shame too because she wasn't lying.
No.
But it's clearly played for laughs, which makes it even funnier.
God, yes.
Oh, so good. Air Force One is the final thing. So Air Force One gets hit by lightning, which they probably should have been paying attention to that.
Which is usually fine because airplanes get hit by lightning all the time.
But it starts to go down, and this is a busy night for Superman. So, like, thank God Superman has shown up because Metropolis would have been in ruins after this night. That cat would have been stuck in the tree. Lois Lane would have been
dead.
A helicopter would have crushed people. All sorts of problems. The president's dead. All sorts of issues. The president's
dead. Oh my God, the whole world. Okay. Well, the lightning did hit an engine. I guess it didn't just like hit it.
Very specific.
It like destroyed the engine, which is very odd because it's like I said,
Superman.
Airplanes get hit by lightning all the time. Don't worry, people. This doesn't.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Very often. Yeah, they get hit by lightning all the time when they go through the clouds. Yeah.
Huh. Oh, I guess that's true. They go through the clouds.
Yeah.
That's turbulence, yeah. Okay, so Superman
this isn't like normal.
It can happen. It can happen. It could happen to you right now. For you while you're on the plane. No, you're fine.
You're listening to us on the plane. Yeah. Just if you turn and you see a gremlin on the wing, you might need to tell somebody.
Well, that's what I was wondering if that's what this scene was alluding to. Because Superman just acts as an engine. He like keeps the plane afloat.
Oh my God, I love this.
And then the pilot turns and Superman waves because he's Superman. And the pilot just waves instinctively back.
I know, yes. I loved that.
I was wondering if...
goes, don't ask.
Fly. I was wondering if that was that an homage to... There's a gremlin in the Twilight Zone.
It could be, because he could also be thinking he's hallucinating. He probably is thinking, I'm hallucinating. This isn't actually happening. We just have to land the plane because the plane is like, right now, it's working. We're just going to get on the ground, and then I'm going to just sit for a minute.
So we cut back to Lex, and they've set up a fake vacation. They're doing a staycation because of there's a pandemic. And and you can't get anywhere. So Lex he's made a vacation spot. He's got a pool. He's got a pool in this place.
Cool. You're right. This place is pretty cool.
Great
I
lair.
do like it.
And he says that he can't be Superman. He cannot, because now it's all over the news. And he says he can't be from this world because it's too good of a hoax for anyone to have thought of except for Lex. So he can't be human. And this is where we see all the wigs. I like all the theater screens that he's got. He's got all these theater screens that they were showing, like the beach.
Yes.
And then they could show the news. Right. Great lair. Really want it. And Lex immediately hates Superman because I guess because he's stealing his thunder.
Showing off. He's like showing off. He's better in some way.
Oh,
I wouldn't say that Lex is like in shape or anything, so I don't think he's thinking of it as like a physical aspect, but he is like showing up and he's like, better. You're better than me. That's not okay.
Okay. Because I was wondering why he immediately hates him. Because I was like, I guess maybe he also sees that this is a guy that could be strong enough to stop my master plan. Because I was like, why does he immediately hate him? Like, I could have seen Lex Luthor trying to make a bargain with Superman or something like that first before he immediately hates him. But he's immediately like, nope, fuck this guy. I hate him.
True. I don't know. It's honestly, though, he thinks that this guy, like Superman, could stop him. But Superman probably doesn't even know who he is or what he's doing.
Right. If he would not have contacted Superman at the end, he might have gotten away with this.
Right.
Because Superman wouldn't have known about the plan.
No.
But that's hubris. That's the hubris and the narcissism of Lex Luthor.
Right. And maybe he's also thinking if he's this fantastic, right? He's this like magical type of guy, right? He can fly, he can pick up things like that are really strong. Maybe he's also thinking he's super smart. So if he's super everything else, is he also super smart?
He's got to test
he can't
him.
Be super smart.
Yeah. He's got to figure out a way to test him. Back at the bugle. The bugle. Jesus. Can you tell where my comic allegiances lie?
There are a lot of different newspapers in the comic.
Yeah, because it's an easy way to like keep the hero connected to what what's going on, I guess. Or Stanley and Steve Ditko were like, well, it worked for Superman. Let's just do it too. So, back at the Daily Planet, Perry White wants Superman to be tied to the newspaper completely. And Clark says he doesn't. I don't think that he'll go for some cheap promotional tactic. And Perry White's like, "Why do you think that?" And he goes, "Just a first impression," which I think is a fine answer because he clearly is like, not in it for the fame.
Well, he does his job. He does his job and he leaves.
Right.
He doesn't stick around and be like, just doing my duty. He doesn't do that. He just leaves.
Mr. White has a point, though. Everybody has their price. He wants to know. Clark has slipped a note to Lois that states to meet at her place, and it's signed a friend.
I missed that.
Yeah.
When did that happen? Wait, because that was another question. I said, when the hell did this date get set up?
Yeah,
I didn't realize
there
was. Oh, I missed it. This is what I get for crocheting and watching a movie at the same time.
So that is how that got set up. So and it's signed a friend, so she'll know it's Superman.
Right, because that's what he said to her.
Lois is super giddy.
Of course she is.
Because she's got she's got the hots for Superman.
Well, she's got the inside though. She's on the inside. She's gonna get the scoop first.
That's right. And she's gonna get the scoop first.
And she's gonna get Superman.
Well, Clark is giving
his scoop first.
That's
anyways.
Right. Did you see that cod piece? That was more than one scoop.
God. Stop it. Ew.
So, Margot Kidder tells a story about that. I'll tell it in a minute. White says that it'll be the most important interview since God talked to Moses. I love his conviction on this. And then someone is ready with a light to light his cigar.
Yes.
And I just read, man, what a power move. What an alpha. Perry White is such an alpha.
He is. So he is he's the editor-in-chief, of course.
Yeah, 100%. I do want to see a celebrity death match between Perry White and J. Jonah Jameson. I think JJ's got him, but I still want to see the fight.
Oh, yeah, I would love to see that because of think about both of the newspapers being head to head at that point too.
Well, I think the Daily Planet is a little bit more of a upstanding newspaper. I think the Daily Bugle is kind of a
Spider-Man's Menace versus Superman's Amazing.
Well, I'm just saying, I think that the Daily I think that the Planet is more of a legitimate newspaper, and the Bugle's kind of smarmy. Smarmy. Yeah, it's a bit of a rag.
He still does really good though, because that's what people want to see. Is
exactly.
He prints what the people want to see.
That's right. We'll talk more about one day. That's on the list. All of those are on the list. Everything.
List.
Every Spider-Man thing is on the list for sure. Pretty much every Superman thing I think is on the list too.
Oh yeah.
Not
every hero thing is on the list.
This is just the first, minus the comic book that we did in the first season. The first.
It was just our first comic book. This is our first live action.
Yeah, the first adaptation. So that night, Lois gets all dolled up and is waiting at her place. She has a ridiculously nice place.
Oh my god.
It is huge. She has this huge ass garden and a rooftop.
What the hell is this? She's got the penthouse of this apartment complex where she gets a freaking garden balcony. It's
I wrote down, is Perry White paying her like this or is she crooked? Is she getting some sort of...
Ooh, is she crooked?
Where is she getting how does she afford this place?
No idea. Maybe back then this was like...
Yeah, the journalists were just raking it in.
Maybe it's just like a cheap-ass apartment that she found. Maybe she lives above like a little diner. I don't know.
Oh, it's
but it's like,
that's possible. It's some rent-controlled place that she swiped
lives
from
atop,
some old
like
lady.
A restaurant.
Yeah, in the bad part of town because she's Lois Lane. And she's like, I need to be where the action is.
Exactly. If somebody's getting mugged in the back alley, I better be there for it.
Yeah, I got the penthouse in the worst neighborhood in town.
Shit down.
Superman shows up, and it looks very like a set, but that's just the style at the time. And this is one of the horniest scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
My God. There was a dick joke.
I have seen stuff that is so much less horny than this, that is supposed to be more. Superman says maybe there's some questions that people might want to know about him.
Right.
And she turns around and is like, oh, yeah, of course. Because she's just so hot and bothered.
Like,
I have the vapors.
Oh, my. Like
a gentleman
just,
caller.
Fanning herself and everything. And then she, like, grabs a cigarette immediately.
Of course, as you do.
I think that's like a nerves thing.
You know, you really shouldn't smoke. And she's like, oh, yeah, lung cancer, right? Which, I mean, we already knew about it then. Like,
right.
People probably should have stopped smoking 30 years before people actually stopped smoking.
Why? Why are people still smoking? And why are people now picking up this other shit that they're like putting into their body too? That's jewels.
We all kill ourselves in different ways. It's just
the
how
same
you decide
idea,
to kill
though.
yourself.
It's the same thing. It's like I don't get it. Look, if you do it, whatever, but I don't understand why.
But you probably shouldn't, because Superman is right.
Superman just told you shouldn't, okay?
Yeah, listen to Superman. He never drinks when he flies.
Right. But he did check her lungs, and she doesn't have cancer yet. So
she doesn't have cancer yet. Yeah, so she still has time.
Right. Now, the radiation she got from him checking her lungs, she might have cancer now. Thank you.
Very, very true. Very true. I wrote down that I don't like the S on the back of his cape. It looks like felt.
It does look like they forgot to finish it.
It looks like Ma Kent was like, "Oh, you should put an S on the back of your cape," and then made one for him and put it on.
Right.
This dude.
I want to go. What? Okay, go ahead.
This total, I think the kids would call him a Chad. This total Chad right here.
He is a Chad. He is so a Chad.
Giving her some lines, man.
Oh,
so,
man. Oh, it's great. Let's go over the questions here.
All right.
This is good stuff
so we
right
find
here.
out he's 6'4", 225. Upon hearing that, Lane cannot help herself.
No. The first thing she asks, it wasn't like his stuff. She goes, "How big are you?" That's the question. She says,
there is
"How
for sure some double entendre.
big are you?" And I was like, "Is that a dick joke that they just put in this movie?"
It's definitely a dick joke. I didn't think about it though, because I just thought.
I mean, because
I was thinking. I was thinking muscles though. No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Penis.
I know.
Because she got flustered. If she meant the muscles, she wouldn't have gotten as flustered.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you upon hearing this. I did write the next thing she wants to know if he's got a dick. She does want to know that. Yes, but she realizes she can't just she can't just say that, so she asks if he eats. And then of course he's like, when I'm hungry. And he says it in the most like sensual way he can't that Clark Kent from Smallville, Kansas can. And then I wrote, yeah, he eats all right. And then you can all fill in what I meant.
Oh, Lord.
I assume then that the rest of your bodily functions are normal?
Sorry, beg your pardon?
Well, putting it delicately.
Mm-hmm.
Do you eat?
Yes. Yes, I do. When I'm hungry.
You do? Mm-hmm. Of course you do. Well then, is it true that you can see through anything?
Yes, I can. Oh, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And that you're totally impervious to pain?
Well, so far.
What color underwear am I wearing?
Okay. Well, we have to talk about this underwear question. But first, I'm going to tell you the Margot Kidder story that she shares in this behind the scenes. So she says, and again, who knows if this is true or not. So I couldn't tell if Christopher Reeve was a little embarrassed because every time he's walking in this scene, he's covering his junk. And according to Margot Kidder, the Salkinds were like, Superman has got to have a sweet package. He's got to have a big dick.
He's got to be loaded.
So they kept putting cod pieces on him. And they were all metal, so Margot Kidder would always like tink at his cod piece just to tease him because she apparently teased Christopher Reeve a lot on set.
I mean, I would have been too.
Christopher Reeve was always like, "Yeah, we were like brother and sister, like teasing each other," and like he would always get mad because Margot was a lot more of a relaxed actress, and he was very method, like he was always in character. So she would be tinking his cod piece, and he'd be like, "Stop it,"
because like. I feel like that goes with the character.
Yeah, it does. I think it does.
In character still too.
No, she talks about how they'd be like on the wires together for like 8 hours and he'd still be in character. God. And she'd be like, Chris, would you please stop it? Like, you're not Superman. We're just hanging here because they're getting the lighting right.
So hold on, before we go back to the horny questions, because there are some questions mixed in here.
Okay, go ahead. I was going straight to the horn dogs.
You wanted
here.
more horny. Do you want to finish the horny questions and
then
go ahead. To the questions that he shouldn't be answering?
I am about no, let's start with the underwear because I think that's first.
Oh, I love that question.
So Lois decides, screw it, let's just get straight to business, and immediately asks him if he can see through things because
can see through anything.
Yeah. And decides to ask him what color underwear is she wearing. He's like,
I was like, wow, that is forward.
Yeah, it's a little forward. I mean, she might as well have put on underwear that said "Do me now," like right? So that he could read it. And
like in a parody of this movie, it would have been like it would have showed the underwear and it would have lit up like a sign and it would have said like "I'm ready, take me." Like it's ridiculous.
So she stands behind this planter, which should not have been made of lead because we shouldn't be making things out of lead like that. But in the 70s, we were, because everything was dirty. And he goes, I can't tell. You see, I have some problems seeing through lead.
You just told a reporter that. You know you work with her. What's wrong with you? This guy's an idiot.
Why are you giving away your weaknesses, dude?
You don't give away your vulnerabilities.
Yeah, it's such a dumb thing to do. And it's this naiveness of Superman, I guess. It's just that he's like, well, I think that the people would want to know me. I should let them know about me. I want to
tell them everything about me. I want to tell them that I'm an alien from the planet Krypton, that I can't see through lead.
He's invulnerable so far.
To a point.
Like so far. He's like, I guess, like I haven't been hurt yet, so.
Right.
Pink.
Yeah, pink was the color. Pink was the color.
It goes pink. And then we get the idea.
She walked away, yeah.
Yeah. She stops and goes,
why, do you like pink?
I like pink very much, Lois.
Yes!
And I was just like, oh my god, just get in bed
already.
Rip
off your
clothes! Just go do it.
Him, then.
Why are we wasting our time? Just have sex.
Obviously, he's into it. Like,
he's
come on.
into it. And then she asks, why is he here? And this is where we get the famous Superman, for truth, justice, and the American way.
And I just kind of went, why?
You have a problem with that, Rachel? You have a problem with... Do you have a problem with America? Your homeland?
Do you really want me to answer that?
The American way part comes from the 50s. So Superman always was for truth and justice. And then in the 50s, it became for truth, justice, and the American way. And then it still was, obviously, in the 70s, because that's what people that grew up in the 50s knew it as. It faded away in the modern era. It's just truth and justice. It's not.
It went back to truth and justice. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, because at some point people were like, Superman shouldn't just be an American superhero.
That's what I thought was
humanity's
odd.
superhero.
Right. Like, why is it only for America? Like, I know you landed smack dab into America right there in Kansas, small town America.
Well, because
right?
remember, the 50s were a lot about censorship, and we were fighting the Russians, and so it was very rah-rah patriot.
Right,
so
I know that.
That's where it came in.
It just doesn't fit with Superman to me, because he's an alien from a different planet, for one, and so it's like you think he'd just want to be take care of the planet. He's not gonna choose only this little island right here. Like,
superheroes are a very American creation.
This is also true.
And he was the first one, so I feel like maybe the country felt like some ownership over him at that time. And like I said, it was a very... Remember World War II.
Well, no, I understand the politics and how all of that works with the comic books. I'm just saying, like, in general.
I think
the idea of Superman, I just don't think the American way should be there.
No,
considering
neither
he's
do
kind
I.
of like for the planet Earth.
He's for us. He's for the people. Yeah, he's for humanity. But at this point in time, everyone was waiting for that line, so they put it in there as fan service. How fast do you fly? He doesn't know. That's foreshadowing for the end. They basically do a whole new world from Aladdin, or I guess Aladdin did Superman via a whole new world with the magic carpet. Oh, okay. Here we go, people. Get your popcorn. I assume he's keeping her warm while flying, because she's like, I probably need to get a
sweater. He wouldn't let her get a sweater. I'm like, it's gonna be freezing up there. Do you have massive body?
He was keeping her warm. He was emitting body heat or something for her. Clark's name gets brought up.
Radiation again. I'm telling you.
Yeah, again, radiation. Clark's name gets brought up for a second. I assume that this was in a deleted scene, because the way that she says it, it feels like Clark and Lois had a conversation about Superman that was probably in some scene that didn't make the cut. Folks, let me know if it is, because there is an extended cut that's like a half an hour longer with a bunch of scenes that were deleted, and I just didn't go look it up to know if it is part of a deleted scene or not. So now they sing a whole new world with each other. The score does a brief Peter Pan sound. Did you notice that? Or John Williams puts a little brief Peter Pan noise, because she says, like, Clark said, you're like Peter Pan, you're not real, you're on wires.
Right.
And he says, Peter Pan is for children, Lois. And they fly off. It does that first couple of notes from the Disney Peter Pan, that like dee 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 dee, like that little like tinkle like Tinkerbell noise.
Oh, like the Tinkerbell noise? Oh,
yeah, just for a second.
Okay.
Just for a second. I thought it was. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought just for a second.
Peter Pan. Like, I don't know. They were like flirting sexually with Peter Pan too. It was just a lot of sexual tension in the scene.
Yeah, the porn parody would have them doing it in midair. It probably does.
Yes.
He takes her flying.
Fine. Take her flying. But
there's a good wonder part of it. The Statue of Liberty is here. I wanted to know, is the Statue of Liberty in Metropolis in this world and New York? Or did they fly
Statue of Liberty? Oh yeah, did they fly to New York?
Did they fly to New York so that she could see the Statue of Liberty? Or is this the Metropolis Statue of Liberty? I want to know this.
We need to know now.
Folks at home, let us know. Dick Donner died. Who's still alive from this movie that could let us know? If you worked on this movie, let us know. Or if you're just a Superman fanatic that I want to know if the Statue of Liberty is in the comics, as if it's in Metropolis.
That's true. I'm curious now.
They go above the clouds, and he encourages her to stick out her arms to truly feel like she's flying. There's nothing but score at this point. This is the romance of the story. This is the romance of Superman. She loses her grip and begins falling, and he catches her, and they spin and they embrace in midair, and it's just a lovely romance between the two iconic characters of American mythology.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Rachel, what would you like to say?
Lois starts reciting a poem, and it's like not like out loud, like in her head,
like in voiceover.
We get like this inner monologue
of
her doing like a poem about Superman and how this can't be real and all of this. I'm like, is she writing this for like the is this what she's gonna put in her article? Because I would tell her not to. I'd tell her to cut it. It was just very awkward. I felt kind of cringy with this whole scene. Like, I didn't mind them flying. Fine, fly, cool, that's great. but then this weird inner monologue part with her doing a poem, and then him, I think we got a little bit of him kind of having some inner monologue too, like
I don't think we
thinking
get his
about
inner
Lois.
monologue.
I thought we did for a little bit.
I thought
Maybe
it's
not.
just her.
So it's just Lois. Just
yeah.
Lois. Okay.
Can you read my mind?
Oh yeah, can you read my mind?
This was a song that they were going to have Margot Kidder sing at this point, and they decided to make it into this voiceover.
Sing it?
That's why it sounds like a poem. It was supposed to be a song that she was going to sing.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if it was going to be only internally she was going to sing, or if she was going to belt it out above the clouds. But they thought that was too much. They thought that it was enough to just have her do the inner monologue. I can't really disagree with you. I didn't like this. I don't know if it worked for audience. I guess it did back then. Yeah, I didn't like it. I really didn't. Folks, just let us know your opinions on this one. This scene, it was just kind of, to your point, it's a little too much to have her do this. And it's not just that it's a little too much for an audience in modern day watching it. I don't think that Lois Lane, this version of Lois Lane, would think this way.
No,
where
it
she'd
was
be like
a little too
doing poetry.
Weird.
So they finally come back after a very long time doing this poem, and he drops her off and he flies off.
Very long time, mind you.
Yeah, I think that they could have kept some other stuff. I actually think that they could have enhanced the relationship between Clark and Superman and Lois a little bit more and cut some of the flying stuff out. Although I know that the flying stuff was the spectacular thing to see.
Sure, which is fine. I don't mind the flying stuff. It's just that poem. That poem part just kind of made it go.
Give me a cut without that poem. I'll take it. So he flies off. This is a masterfully done shot. So he flies off. She comes up with the name Superman, and then Clark knocks on the door, and the shot never is broken. It's all one shot. That's filmmaking. Him flying off was a pre-taped screen.
Oh yeah, that makes
sense. And then they just kept following her, and then Clark was at the door. It's so good. Nowadays, it would have just been CGI nonsense. They actually had to figure out how to do it. Now that we find out that Lois and Clark are supposed to go on a date, and that must have been.
I thought that was weird too. Like, oh, okay, when did you guys have a date?
Yeah, that's got to be in a deleted scene too, because
I know that they had
never
talked
hear
about
this.
Like he had asked her on a date, and she gave him like a rain check. I guess this is the rain check.
I guess, but
he had like double booked the date.
It works. Okay. It's not something that we needed to see. It's still, you get the idea. Like, you get it fine. But I did want to kind of know why she would accept a date with Clark. I guess just because he's such a nice guy, she's like, yeah, whatever. Like, you're actually like, you're like a corn-fed Midwestern.
Different than what she's dated before.
Yeah.
Different than the guys she's dated before. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm okay with it. It just, it is a little bit like, when did that happen? Clark contemplates telling her that he's Superman. He takes the glasses off. He stands up straight. You actually find out that Christopher Reeve / Clark Kent uses a different posture. Yeah. I didn't notice until he did stand up as Clark Kent. That like, oh, wow.
I guess trying to make himself look a little smaller.
Yeah.
You know, it's that self-esteem, like, I'm just going to squish in. And then so that like goes with the character. And then when he's Superman, he like puffs out his chest.
Yeah, I like that little touch. And before she comes back out, he puts the glasses back on. He decides that he can't do it for some reason. He chickens out. As they're leaving, he says something, and she goes, "That's Clark nice." Like, she's supposed to say that's nice, Clark, but she can't say it right because she's just thinking about Superman.
She's so flustered. Yeah, she's so flustered.
Lex Luthor, back to Lex Luthor, figures out where he's come from based on the interview. So he's triangulated because I guess Superman gave up all the goods on his background.
Gave up everything. Well, he even told her it was Krypton. She goes, "Was that C-I?" And he goes, "No, that's actually K or like R-Y." And
yeah,
like, okay. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you
such
doing?
A bad idea. You know, I'm actually invulnerable to everything but kryptonite, Lois, which you can find in several different items here on the planet.
This is what I'm wondering. So I don't think he mentions kryptonite, right?
Well, because he doesn't know it exists.
Right. So
this is what this scene is for.
I know, but the scene didn't make any sense to me.
No, it makes absolutely no sense.
Like, it was grasping at fucking straws.
Yes, it definitely was. So Lex says, well, the planet Krypton exploded in 1948. It took him 3 years to get here. Well, because they say he's saying the planet blew up then, and I came here. Because he doesn't want people to know how old he is, but I guess he told them that his planet blew up in 1948. But it took him 3
He said
years.
he's over 21. Is what he told.
But you'd put 2 and 2 together and know he's 30 if he said he came as a baby. So
why are you telling everything? God.
Miss Teschmacher is more enthused about the fact that he's this big hunk.
Do you know why the number 200 is so vitally descriptive to both you and me? It's your weight and my IQ. Now think, people, think!
I want to use that line.
He's a moron.
I need to use that line someday. That's a great insult.
You know that your IQ is 200, Kevin?
No, I think it's several points lower than 200.
Then how are you supposed to be able to use that line?
Well, it's just an insult. It doesn't have to be true.
No, I know. I'm just joking.
Some of these particles and debris drifted to Earth from Krypton. And he shows Addis Ababa. That sounds vaguely Middle Eastern.
Well, Addis Ababa is the capital of Ethiopia.
Okay, I guess I have to change.
You never heard of that before?
No.
I have heard of Addis Ababa.
I apologize to all of our Ethiopian listeners. I am a ugly American. Yeah.
But it is actually the capital of Ethiopia. The sump is lethal for anybody from planet Krypton.
Yeah. I don't understand why he thinks that. Where does he come up with that conclusion?
Where did you come up with that?
Yeah, so he says that it would to us it's just a meteorite, but to people from Krypton it could kill them. And I have no idea where he comes up with that conclusion. It's just, I guess, a way for us to move on with the plot, but it is one of those like, how did he come up with that? So I will try to headcanon it for you, Rachel.
Headcanon for me. Why does he know that kryptonite is radioactive enough that it's not going to be good for Kryptonians? It doesn't make any sense.
We don't know what the whole interview was. So if in the interview Superman said that the reason that the planet blew up was because of the supergiant's radiation, maybe then Lex thinks that the biochemistry of the Kryptonians and the radiation from the supergiant would have killed them?
Wouldn't that also mean that the kryptonite that is on Earth, though, is also killing humans?
You would think so.
And the humans that touch it don't seem to have any, like, reaction.
Lex says it's a very specific emission. It's not gamma rays, or it's not microwaves. It's completely off the scale. It's a stretch. It's a cartoon. It's definitely it's comic book logic.
I feel like it was even. But see, the problem is I feel like it's even a stretch for comic book logic.
Yeah, they should have had some way for him to figure this out. I don't know what it would have been, but they should have made him figure this out somehow.
Usually when it's something like this, which I'm probably wrong, maybe I'm wrong, but it's something where, maybe they come across the kryptonite, right? And he sees that when Superman is close to it, it makes him kind of like, and woozy and shit like that.
Sure.
So he's like, well, now I gotta I'm gonna take this. It seems like it's this weird green shit. What is this?
Sure.
So he grabs the green stuff and he's just like, I'm gonna do some like scientific look-sees at this kryptonite, right? And then maybe that's where he comes up with it. Just out of the blue, reading a newspaper, it just feels so.
I don't disagree.
It just doesn't feel
right.
I
do think that they should have done something.
I'm just saying, that's all I'm saying. Is it? You just think that there would be a bit more correlation.
Sure, it doesn't need to be logical. It just needs to be logical for the movie, and it's not quite. It's just kind of Lex putting pieces together that don't necessarily fit. But it is what it is. It worked for 1978, obviously, I guess. But I do think I think that's flawed. Yeah. The next scene is a convoy moving a missile. It's totally not what I thought the next scene was going to be.
Hold on. Can I say something real quick? So Otis does say, like, we're going to go to Addis Ababa. They're wearing burnous, which is a long, loose, hooded cloak worn by Arabs.
Yeah, he says that because she asked what do they wear there, and he says a burnous. Yeah.
Like, he just knows this. I guess we're going to Addis Ababa. It's like, all right.
Because I'm telling you, Otis isn't actually as stupid. It's just Luther thinks he's really dumb.
This is true. Right. No, I like the headcanon of it's from Luther's eyes.
It doesn't make any sense because Otis fucks up all the time. But it, for
but
those
he
little
might
moments.
not screw up as much as Lex Luthor.
I mean,
can,
Homer Simpson knows all about the Supreme Court justices. So maybe
That's
Otis knows about African geography and culture.
Maybe he's just super into fashion.
Yeah, maybe he's a big fashion guy. Maybe he just knows he's a big history buff. Who knows?
Yeah, he's like super into cultures and like learning about history. I don't know.
Well, Mr. Luthor, I got that doctorate at Stanford in history, and now I'm doing this for you. It just seems like a waste of my degree. Shut up, Otis, you nincompoop nitwit. So there's a driverless car being manned by Lex. I don't know where Lex gets all these gadgets, but he's got a lot of gadgets. It spins out of control and it crashes.
What does he do? So
he's a real estate guy.
He is a real estate guy. Okay.
Yeah. In the comics, he's a businessman. He does a bunch of different business stuff, but the real estate stuff is how they focus on in here. LexCorp is a thing in the comics, and it's real estate and conglomerate and all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
So the car spins out of control. It crashes pretty good. I bet the crew was really proud of that one because they focus on it and how many times it spins and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And as the convoy comes across it, they find Miss Teschmacher on the ground, and all the soldiers go to investigate because her boobs are out. Their command is like, "What's going on here?" And they're like, "Well, this lady doesn't appear to be breathing somehow."
She looks like Marilyn Monroe, by the way.
Yeah, she's got a blonde
like
wig
this
on.
Marilyn Monroe bombshell outfit on.
For sure. And their command's like,
boobs
"Well,
out, that's what he means."
Yeah. Her boobs literally aren't out in this PG movie. Although in 78, you probably could have shown a boob or two and they would have been fine.
Probably, yeah.
And their command's like, "Well, I better give her mouth to mouth." And he makes them all like give a circle while he does this. Otis has snuck into the convoy where the missiles are, and he has numbers on his arm, marked on his arm. There's like numbers on this trajectory, and he's like changing the numbers.
Right.
I really would not, if I'm Luthor, I am not trusting Otis near this nuke.
No!
Because what if he accidentally lets it off? Then you're dead too. You're right there.
So stupid. Like, why didn't you go do it? Like, you could have had Otis be the ambulance driver. Why'd you have to be the ambulance driver? It didn't make any sense.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Lex wanted to be a smarmy, like, look, I'm Agent 47. I'm a master of disguise.
Oh my god, he does do that. Yeah.
An ambulance shows up.
Weird.
Lex is the EMT, and they take Miss Teschmacher, and Otis hops in the van, and he's like, "I did it, Mr. Luthor! I did it!" And Lex says, "It's not that I don't trust you, Otis, but I don't trust you." So he's like, "What did you do?
Tell me what you do."
So he did the coordinates wrong, and Lex is all pissed off.
Right.
So now they have to do a second one. And they are in a truck. And I wrote, this is very old-time comic booky. That Lex just has all these resources.
Oh my god.
And he's got all these costumes. Although they did show a bunch of costumes in the lair. Like with the wigs, there's like a bunch of costumes. So they kind of set it up a little bit. Even though it is goofy, like they do kind of show that he does this.
Yeah, but it's silly still.
It's very silly.
So silly.
This is all very silly. It's not campy though. It's just silly. They play it straight.
Just really silly. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't play it campy.
No, it doesn't feel like some like
parody. It's not a parody of it.
Yeah, no.
It's just it is
like
what it is. Verisimilitude. As they distract the convoy from being able to cross this bridge with the truck, this time Miss Teschmacher goes in and does something coordinates with the second missile.
It's not even just a truck. It's like a guy he's pulling a damn house. Like,
oh, that's right. He is. They are moving a house. Well, he's a real estate guy. They just found one of his houses.
Oh, that makes sense now. Yeah.
Remembering later that the first missile was just a distraction. So only one of the missiles needed to get it right. Now I get it. So now I think that second time, that first one that Otis screwed up, Lex wasn't planning on that going to Hackensack, New Jersey, which we end up finding out. I don't know where he wanted it to go, but it was just a distraction. And the second one of them was going to be a distraction.
I think it was an accident that it's going there.
Yeah, no, me too. But
that's
one
what
of them
with Otis's like coordinates.
Yeah,
it's just,
that's what I'm saying. One of them was always going to be a distraction, and one of them was always going to. Yes. No, yeah, he didn't need 2 missiles. One of them was
always
going
for 2. They fucked up the first one.
So then he just happened.
So he needed it to get to the right place. So they had to get to the second missile to make sure that one was actually going to the right place because they screwed up the first one.
See, I think
so they couldn't get back to the first one to fix it.
Okay, so they just stumbled into modifying the plan so that they got to have a missile that was a distraction for Superman. Because he has to go stop the second one too. So so Lex is an evil genius because he's just like, okay, I can make this work, and just modifies the plan.
No, I don't even think he modified a plan. He didn't modify shit. They fucked up the first one. It was gonna go hit a small town no matter what. It works in their favor, but it was stupid. Because it was just gonna go hit a town. It wasn't gonna hit the earthquake zone or whatever. That's the thing. It wasn't like, oh, I'm an evil genius because I made a distraction missile. No, you didn't. You fucked up.
I actually think he planned to have the 2 missiles, but I thought that he was going to switch both missiles trajectories. But maybe
I don't think so. I think it was just they were gonna switch one, and then Otis screwed it up, and so now he's like, well, fine, I'll have Mrs. What's her name?
Teschmacher.
I'll have Mrs. Teschmacher do the next one because I don't trust him. So we got to get this one right or we're screwed. Because I need this to work. I need this to hit the right spot.
Okay.
Now, are the coordinates completely different? I don't know.
Like, I think
if they're completely different,
I don't know exactly what they would be. In.
But if we notice the numbers they put in, like I don't remember. I couldn't tell you. If the numbers were very the same, then I'm gonna say that no, he only needed 1 missile to do what he needed. They just happened to be 2.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I agree that he only needed 1, but I thought that he would have messed with both just to cause a little more chaos so Superman couldn't stop the one that he needed to land. But I don't disagree with you on that. Folks, let us know. What do you think? What's your opinion on that? Lois is on the West Coast getting an interview with a Native American who's going to sell his land to an anonymous person. Mr. White has sent Jimmy Olsen with her because it's his first on assignment. I
guess so, yeah. Out of Metropolis type of thing.
Oh, geez, Mr. White, thank you so much. Gee golly, I get to go with Miss Lane. So what we find out back at the Daily Planet is that White and Lois Lane think that it is some kind of land fraud. That there is, for some reason, there's this guy, someone is buying all this land that's basically worthless. It's all this desert land, but they're buying it at these ridiculously high prices. Like people are doing nowadays. And be on the lookout for a Lex Luthor out there, everyone.
He does all the businesses buying up all the land.
Yeah, exactly. So Mr. White is talking to Clark and he's telling him this. And he also says, look at how crazy this world is. Somebody stole this meteorite and it was worthless. So we find out that the meteorite got stolen and killed 2 people while they were stealing it. So we find out that Luthor, at the very least, had someone steal the meteorite, or he stole the meteorite. Something happened. It happened off screen. I would have liked to have seen it, but it happened off screen. And White is telling Clark that he has enough humility and he has enough this and that, but he needs to have more aggression.
Right.
And he wants Lois to have Clark meet Superman so that he can learn how to be more assertive.
Yeah. You didn't mention the fact that Lois did that whole interview in a fucking car while she was driving.
No, I did not.
I paying attention.
I do kind of want to know why she was doing that interview in a car. I guess maybe the guy that she was interviewing was like, I've got places to be. I can't
Yeah, but she's driving. He's not driving.
But maybe she was like, I'll give you a lift. I just want to get this interview.
Holding a microphone.
I'm glad that Rachel's using props, by the way.
And not looking.
She's very dedicated to her job. She's very dedicated to her job.
It doesn't matter. We can move on.
Jeez, that's what journalists have to do.
It threw me off because I was like, I thought you skipped a whole scene. So.
Oh no! Well, I mentioned the interview, but I forgot the little things about it. Yeah, she's driving through the desert.
The little things about it. She's doing an interview in a car while she's driving. And she almost veers off the road.
I do that all the time. Half of these podcasts I do while I'm driving. I don't, folks. I'm joking.
Really stupid.
Yes. So as Miss Perry White is telling Clark this stuff, I do like this part. And I don't know how Luthor figured this out, but Clark must have said in the interview that he has super hearing ability.
Yeah.
So Luthor decides to use like a dog frequency that only dogs can hear, and Superman can hear it.
The poor dogs in Metropolis are probably all barking and like in pain.
I like this scheme though, where he tells him that he wanted to meet Superman, but he knew that he wouldn't. I love that Hugh Jackman. I love that Gene Hackman uses this voice a little bit, like he's talking a little more sinister than he was in the other scenes.
Because he's a criminal mastermind.
And he tells him that he wanted to meet Superman, but he just couldn't invite him for tea because he wouldn't take him up on that. But if he might have. Yeah, I actually think that Superman might have. Yeah, but instead he's
very open.
But instead he decides to kill half the population of Metropolis to get his attention. You know, as you do. Mm-hmm. Clark steps out of the room with Perry and kind of backs away. He jumps out of a window, which tells you how chaotic the planet is, because the Daily Planet is.
That nobody notices.
Nobody notices. He immediately is in his Superman outfit. Don't know how he did that. And then Luthor, because he's Superman, because Luthor's telling him that getting people in danger is the best way to meet him. He's got an idea. He understands Superman just from the interview, just from what he's seen him do. Some ladies fawn over him here. I can't remember what they're doing, but I did write down some ladies are fawning over him when they're like secretaries or something, and they're like, "Oh, it's Superman," as he flies by.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I think that Lex, here you can tell that Lex is a good foil for him. Lex is a guy that wants to figure out how to beat him. I think it's as simple as that. Superman figures out where the frequency is coming from, and he spirals himself down into the tunnels of the
He digs a hole! Like it's a fucking mole man, like drilling into the ground. What is that?
Because if you can move fast enough,
he could have used a sewer. He could have just used he made a hole in a sidewalk.
He thought he had to go really fast because he thought if he didn't get there in time, half the population would be wiped out by this chemical.
Took the manhole cover off and jump down.
Drastic times, Rachel. But yes, he puts a giant hole in the. Jeez, it's another Superman hole. I'm gonna be working all weekend fixing this.
Bugs Bunny now digging holes in through the city.
I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
Oh god.
I do like this part where Superman busts down the door and Lex is such a pompous smarmy jackass that he's like, "It's open, come in." Like I love that he doesn't sweat Superman. He never does. This whole movie, he's just like, "Yeah, look at this guy." Like that's his reaction to Superman.
Because he's a jerk. Because he's just like, I can't let him see anything.
But it's such a good. But that's what makes him work so well, because he's not intimidated by him.
Well, he might be. We just don't know that.
Right. Well, he keeps it inside if he is.
Show it.
Yeah. And Lex tells Otis to take the gentleman's cape. Otis has a black eye. I don't know how if that is from when Luthor punched him in the ambulance, or if that's another deleted scene.
Oh, maybe that's where it's from. That makes sense, because he did go jump into the back of the ambulance. Oh my god.
So that must be where it's from. He goes to take the cape, and Otis is like, "I don't think he wants me to take the cape, Mr. Luthor." And it's a reference to the old song lyric, "Don't tug on Superman's cape." So I like that. That's a little fan service. I've never heard of that. Oh yeah, I can't remember the song.
I mean, I already brought up The Incredibles once, but every time I think of capes, I always think of how the person who designs the costumes is like, "No capes." Because it always they get dragged back, they always get sucked into something and die, all of those types of things. And then you just think of Superman, and it's like, well.
You Don't Mess Around with Jim by Jim Croce. It's a song from 1972, so a few years before this. But there's a lyric in there that's "You don't tug on Superman's cape."
Okay.
So that's what that's from. Luthor tells him that there was no chemical. It's something that he had in his head. He knew that it would get him to come here. And Superman asks him, "Do you get your kicks by thinking up the death of innocent people, and Luthor, like a boss,
like an
says,
actual villain.
Yeah, says, no, I get my kicks by causing the death of innocent people. Good line.
Right.
Good villain line.
It is a good villain line.
The government is doing the test at the time as Luthor shows Superman this Game of Thrones-esque map of the US.
Oh my god, yes.
I like that he has this, though, and it makes sense that he has this because it's part of the subway.
Right.
But he has this map of the US, and he's telling him his plot. And
he's telling him everything.
Yeah, it's a parlor scene where he's telling him everything.
It's such a oh my god, you've got me monologuing type of thing.
But it's the hubris of Lex Luthor. We've talked about this. He's so pompous. Right. He thinks he's got him. He knows he's got him, so he's gonna tell him everything. So his plan is everything on the west side of the San Andreas Fault is super expensive in Southern California. Everything on the other side of the San Andreas Fault is Death Valley. It's a desert. It's garbage.
Right.
Folks at home, if you're living on the right side of the San Andreas Fault, let us know.
We don't think your home is garbage.
I don't think your home is garbage. They think
is
it.
Your home
Lex
garbage?
Luthor.
What do you think of the land there?
Think? Yeah. Do you think California should fall off into the ocean?
And then you want to be the West Coast now? Let us know.
So his plan is if a nuclear bomb that hit just the right point.
A nuclear bomb.
Well, he says a megaton bomb, but it needs to be a big-ass bomb. If it's set off the fault, it would destroy California. The West Coast would fall off into the sea, and then the new West Coast would be his West Coast, plus Otisburg. I like... Miss Teschmacher I just want a little piece. I like that Otis wanted Otisburg.
There's this whole back and forth though, and all I keep thinking is Superman's just sitting there rolling his eyes oh my god, can they get on with it? What is going on here? Why am I here?
This is my life. I have to interact with these people. There was a deleted scene, or not a deleted scene. There's a little blooper that I saw in the documentary where Gene Hackman does the thing where he stabs the spot where he's the point, because he says you need to make it hit right here, and he hits it, and it breaks this piece that Otis had put down to illustrate.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that happened. I didn't say it was a deleted scene. I'm saying that in the blooper. No, it was a blooper. He does that.
Oh,
and then Ned Beatty goes, "Ooh," like he does in the movie. But Christopher Reeve couldn't take it, and he just bursts out laughing because he just thought he was just such a good reaction.
Yes,
it was a very sweet moment because you just felt like Christopher Reeve was so stern, and then to just see him laugh.
That's funny. No, I like that.
Lois happens to be near the fault line because she's just driving around. I don't know what she's doing. She's just driving around. I guess she's going to pick up Jimmy because Jimmy was like, "I want to go take pictures of the Hoover Dam, Miss Lane. Gee golly, it's so big and awe-inspiring." The missiles start to have a trajectory issue, and they can't get it to abort. And Lex tells Superman there's two of them, and he could stop it with a detonator. So Superman's like, "Where's the detonator?" And Luthor looks to his...
No, he's sitting on it.
Well, no, but he looks to his desk first to fool Superman slightly.
Oh, right.
Because he's manipulating Superman here. So he looks to his desk, and Superman uses the X-ray vision. We get to see the X-ray vision for the first time. We didn't get to see those pink panties of Lois Lane.
We got to see her lungs.
We got to see her lungs. Oh, you're right. This isn't the first time because we saw her lungs. You're right. Luthor is on a lead case.
This was unnecessary.
It was because Superman doesn't
finish your
know.
Thought, and then we can keep going.
It was because Superman doesn't know what it would do, but it shields the radiation, so he sets him up that way. Because otherwise, Superman might have started feeling it, and
I guess that's true too.
And this way, he got the full effect, and it's a way to manipulate him to make him do it to himself.
Right.
So it's showing how smart Lex is by making Superman screw himself.
By opening the lead chest, yeah.
Yeah, he talks his Lex off, and he's like, "Yeah, you really thought that putting it in lead was gonna fool me?" And Lex is like, "Don't open that!" And Superman looks at him for a second, and is like, "Okay," and he opens it, and there's kryptonite there. and he tells him, like, I told you so.
And it does exactly what Lex thought it was going to do.
Yeah, it causes Superman to have some issues. I do like the line where Lex picks up the kryptonite and he's like, mind over muscle. I like that idea. This is where I was talking about where the idea of, is this a movie that perpetuates an idea that being smart is nefarious and being jockish is good?
That's the thing, isn't it? Because half the time it's usually the people who are brainy that have some sort of backstory that causes them to become a supervillain, right? Or some type of bad guy. That
not always, but yeah.
That happens a lot.
I know.
That happens a lot in comic books and stuff. A lot of the times, the people who are very smart tend to all of a sudden be like, well, I'm going to take over the goddamn world, or I'm going to, like, go after people and that wronged me, and I'm going to get what I deserve, you know? It's interesting.
I think that the villains, the best villains, your Dr. Dooms, your Lex Luthors, your Green Goblins, whoever, have to be Dr. Octopus. They have to be smart, because if they were dumb, they would get thrashed right away by the heroes. So I do think that you need to have a smart villain, and a smart villain is way more dangerous. And in the real world too, a smart villain is more dangerous than a dumb villain, or a charismatic villain. Charismatic and smart, like a Lex Luthor, that's real extremely dangerous. And
you know that with a lot of history.
Sure. And you've got to have smart heroes too. Batman and pretty much every Marvel hero has some sort of science background. Right. So there are a ton of smarts on the hero side too. I just think it's interesting that, you know, he looks at it as minds over muscle. But in reality, Superman has to outthink Lex here on how to beat him. Yeah.
Superman is smart, though. He's very intelligent. I mean, he is like an alien that was given a lot of knowledge of the universe itself. He's just, he was raised to be kind of a bit, maybe
be a farm boy.
A bit more naive, I guess.
He's naive. He's trusting. He believes in people.
He's
a farm boy.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if it really means, you know, the cracked.com article from back in the day would be like, oh, it's Superman's anti-intellectual or something like that. I don't know. But I don't really think it views the world that way. It's just one of those little things where, like, if you wanted to write your thesis statement on that, you could. And, you know, folks at home, let us know if you do. You give us, you know, put a little credit to Shelf Life. Put us in your, your bibliography.
Yeah, there you go.
It was just something I thought of watching this. He knows exactly where the other missile is headed. That's where we find out that it's headed to Hackensack, New Jersey. And Miss Toshmacher is like, that's where my mother lives. And Lex shakes his head because he's like, the missile probably blew her up already. And Superman is given the kryptonite necklace. Like, they put it on this big chain and they put it over Superman, which is kind of comic bookish, because, like, there's that one comic book where Superman's breaking out of the chains. So I think that's kind of the idea. Superman is thrown into the pool and he's struggling not to drown. I think eventually Lex just thinks he's going to drown in this pool. I'm going to kill him. So Miss Teschmacher comes back to the pool and she sees that Superman is drowning, and Superman pleads with her to stop it. He's like, you don't want this to happen. It's going to kill so many people.
No, also, by the way, because you were talking about the smart, charismatic. I mean, you got to look at the year Superman was created in 1933.
38.
Smart.
Was this for? Yeah.
33.
He was 38.
I just looked at
his,
it. It was
his first issue was June 38. The idea of Superman they had since 33 is maybe what you're thinking of. Does it really? Oh, like the first iteration of Superman, that one that I talked about.
I don't care if it's with published the mind 1938. Control. Here's this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Published
so they came.
Okay.
They came up with the idea in 33, and they couldn't get it published until 38.
So World War I, World War II. Who is the biggest?
Well, sure.
Smartest, most charismatic villain of the time.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense then, 100%.
Well, and Lex back in that time was a evil scientist. He became a businessman as time went on.
Well, yeah, because businessmen became evil, and now they still are.
Right. Superman is pleading with her. I said that the audio sounds slightly different here for some reason. I don't know if it was my home theater setup. I don't know if it was HBO. I watched this on HBO Max. I don't know if it was HBO or like what the deal was, but
maybe it's because of the water.
Yeah, maybe it's because of the water, or
like how they had to record it.
I think it must just be how they had to record it. The boom mics must have just needed to be in a certain spot for them to get the recording. That just sounded slightly different. But let me know, folks, if you heard it too. It's just slightly different in this scene. He promises to save her mother first, and because of this, she dives in to save him. So she drags him to the edge and takes off the chain. But before she takes off the chain, she assaults him via kiss.
Yes.
Everyone in this movie is super horny for Superman, Rachel.
It's so inappropriate.
Stealing a kiss back in the 70s was not considered as bad as it would be today.
Because he even was just like, why did you kiss me? Like, what the fuck?
Hey, she says back... So,
I mean, I guess she was sexually assaulted by the army guys. So
that's right. Well, it was part of a ruse. But,
it might have been part of a ruse, but that man didn't want anybody else seeing him like feel her up as he was giving her mouth to mouth.
That's true. I never thought about that. Yeah, he does make the army turn around. Interesting.
Yeah.
She throws the kryptonite away and it falls down a drain for the sequel. And she says, why can't I get it on with the good guys? That's exactly what she says, which is such a hilarious line to me.
God, this whole show is horny. What is this?
And Superman has no answer for that. He just kind of touches her face and then he flies through the ceiling and heads out. So again, he breaks something in Metropolis because he breaks through the ground.
Oh yeah, like where did he go? Yeah. Another Superman hole.
Oh man, it's another Superman hole. I'll be working the whole friggin' weekend
doing this. The guy's actually fixing the other one, and then he pops out in another area, and he's like, God damn it.
All these Superman-related mishaps. This whole part, from now until the conclusion, is just Superman going ham, and I really liked it. It's pretty good.
No, that's good.
Limited dialogue, all action, limited score in some parts even too. It's all very good. He catches up with one missile, he takes it up into the atmosphere, and Luthor figures out what happened. Soups sends it off into space and it explodes, but he's too late. And he couldn't stop the one that hit California. So some people are dead right away, I assume, unless that part of the San Andreas Fault was like deserted land, like Death Valley, nothing survives type of area where it had to hit.
Like some people were like right on top of it.
So some people are dead. I kind of like that at the end of the day. He did not save everyone. He saved as much as he could, but he did not save everyone. Even by turning back the clock, he did not save everyone. We'll get into that. Huh?
I don't know. Yeah.
No, he didn't. Yeah. Well, okay.
He couldn't have.
So he goes into the fault, and there's a gas station that Lois is trying to get gas from. There's nobody there. There's no gas that she can get to, so she just keeps moving. And the gas station explodes because, again, you just need something to blow up. It's a big, epic picture. The Selkins are probably like, we need more explosion. We need more explosion. So they have the gas station blow up. And then Lois gets caught in some debris.
Yeah.
And Soups, was putting Soups for short. Superman goes into the fault to try and stop it from splitting, because that's the part where if this splits, California goes into the ocean. So he's trying to stop it from splitting. So he's going deep, deep, deep into the Earth's crust. Meanwhile, we see the Golden Gate Bridge starts breaking apart. A bus starts teetering over the edge as Superman's preparing the fall. But there's still damage done. Earthquakes are still happening because of this. So he fixes the fault, which I love the effect of him fixing the fault. It's just them reversing.
Weird.
It's just them reversing the footage.
It's so weird though that he's able to. That's not how it works.
He just pushes the land back.
That's not how it
crust
works.
Back up. How dare you?
We were like, is he gonna do like a Superman thing and like pull the land back together? Like you can't, like a Spider-Man thing where he has to like pull things back together that are splitting. Like you can't do that.
I can't believe you're questioning the logic behind this.
I've been doing that this entire time. I've been doing that this entire time.
He saves the bus. He puts it back on the bridge. And then he saves a train getting derailed. And I compared this to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. There's a train that almost falls off in that movie. And I think the Falcon Zord has to save it similarly, where he Superman just
uses
goes
the wings.
Yeah. Superman just goes on the rail and the train goes over him.
That part I've seen before. Him doing that with the train. Yes.
So many movies took from this one. It's kind of interesting when you see the little bits and pieces that were from this. Then we go back to the Hoover Dam, and the Hoover Dam starts to burst, and Jimmy is hanging off of the side of it. So he's hanging from the dam, and the water starts to burst, and it's this little miniature Hoover Dam that's bursting. It's kind of cool to see it kind of start to explode. And Superman grabs him as it starts to blow. So he saves Jimmy. And then he drops Jimmy off in the middle of nowhere, and he goes back to flying. Because Jimmy's like, oh, thanks, Mr. Superman. His lane will be around any minute now. I know, just gee golly, great. So Lois runs out of gas, so she's just kind of stuck wherever she's at. And I think, and folks at home, let me know if I'm wrong about this. I think in an earthquake, you're supposed to get out of the car, right?
I would think so. I don't know. All I know is to stand in a doorway or something that has a nice structure to it. You know? I don't know what you would do if you're in a car.
Well, I just think if an earthquake occurs while you're driving, this is according to Allstate, the insurance company.
Yes, Allstate. You
slow down, look for an open area to stop, and pull over as soon as it is safe to do. Avoid parking near or under bridges, overpasses, signs, buildings, etc. Turn off the engine. Set the parking brake on.
Yeah, so you don't roll.
Yeah, and that's all it says. So maybe you are supposed to stay in the car. Cover your head with your arms and wait out the shaking.
And cover.
Yeah, so it never tells you to get out of the car. So I guess she's doing the right thing by staying in the car. But what happens here is the fault catches up to Lois, and the whole car falls into the San Andreas fault. And we get a gnarly death scene for one of the most beloved characters in comics. She gets suffocated to death in her car.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
She got buried alive.
It's brutal. This is a brutal death.
Right.
Superman stops the dam from overtaking a town. So he's distracted because the dam has burst, and he has to stop this dam from overtaking this town. So he's pushing boulders over to get the dam to stop, and he finally gets it to work. And then he suddenly hears Lois in danger.
Again, so
he spots
very
her.
Very cute little set that they had set up for the water to rush over. I loved it.
Very cute little set. You can tell it's just these little miniature houses and stuff. It's pretty obvious. He spots Lois's car. He drags it up out of the ground, but it's too late, and she's dead. And Superman is devastated, and that's the end of the movie. No, actually what happens is that Chris Reeve does a great job of playing this. He is so in grief. The score goes silent, and we are just left with Superman, and he's just going no, no, no. He's so angry, and he's beside himself.
Because it happened again. He couldn't save her.
He says
all of the powers that he has.
His internal monologue, he says, for all of my power, I couldn't save her.
Right, just like his dad.
Right.
Well, his dad was different. His dad was natural causes. He was buried alive in her car.
Right. So he just, in a fit of rage, just flies into the atmosphere, and it's the screens behind him. It's actually a pretty good effect for the time to have him go to space. And as he's going to space, you hear the sound of Jor-El telling him it's forbidden to interfere with human history again. You hear John Kent telling him that there's a reason that he's here and to remember to use all these powers for good. And then you hear him say that he couldn't save her. And we get, this is an infamous ending. In fact, we've talked about it in the Seinfeld episode.
I think we did, yeah.
He starts flying around the earth so fast that he stops the rotation and he turns back time by having the Earth spin the opposite direction.
That is not how time works. But fine. Think he would have just killed more people on Earth by having it stop
he would have
and
fucked
turn
up
the other way.
We'd all be dead. He would have destroyed the planet. Yes.
The Earth would have been completely obliterated.
But in this universe, in this world, it turns back time because he flies around so fast.
They kept in that he made it go the right way as well.
That's right, yes. I'm glad that they did that, because I'm glad that they kept him going the right way, because I was going to be a little worried if he just had it not go the right direction.
Yeah, like, oh, well, we just continue.
I'm glad that they had the foresight to have him spin it the right direction and get it at the exact right speed that it needed to go. Very scientific of him to be able to do this. To get it to go the right speed. So then we cut to Lois. She's stuck on the road, but this time Superman stops by and says hi. And she mentions that she was almost in an earthquake. And then Jimmy Olsen says that he was stuck in an earthquake too, which means he did not stop that bomb. He only came back in time. He didn't even stop the dam. I think he just came back with enough time to...
Because how did he not stop the earthquakes that were, like, chasing her down, but the dam still got cracked? Or did the dam not get cracked this time? Does he still have to save the people from the dam?
No. I think what he did was he turned it back enough, but the bomb still happened. This time he knew where Lois was, so he stopped the fault. He did the thing where he went in under the ground and pushed it up again instead of trying to find her. That's what I think he did. Because I think everything else actually still happened, because otherwise Jimmy wouldn't have been there.
I guess, yeah. It's the only thing that makes sense, because he's, like, there, and he said, like, why'd you
And they both mentioned the earthquake. Yeah, so he didn't turn it back enough time to do the earthquake, so...
Unless, when he turned back time, everybody continued to have their memories... And he turns back time, and when physically everything changes.
Wouldn't every single human being be like...
Yes. Deja vu, right? No, they just have deja vu.
No. There's no way that there's some
Maybe
Matrix...
that's what it is. It's a Matrix deja vu shit where you, like, it just happened, like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute. Did that happen?
And this is why Jor-El had to tell him, don't mess with human history, because you're going to give all these people cancer by messing with their brains.
He's going to give them all cancer anyways, because it's just like radiation, man. So, if kryptonite is that much radiation, so does Superman.
It's a different kind of radiation.
When he does X-ray vision on people...
I like the idea that he had to just do everything faster because he knew what was going to happen wrong.
No, I mean, that's fine. I don't know. It's just hard to tell.
Yeah, it's ambiguous. You're not supposed to think about it.
I kind of wish there was a news article at the end that said, like, the things that did happen.
Sure.
You know, like, very comic book style. You know,
yeah.
like,
have it spit at the screen and say Superman saves the day.
Superman saves the dam.
Yeah.
Like, the dam actually didn't break. He was able to keep it together. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Superman saves the day, and then there's like a sub article that says like Hoover Dam needs to be rebuilt or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. It is ambiguous, and you're not supposed to think about it, but that's why we're here, folks. That's what we do.
Think about it.
That's what Shelf Life does, because that's what we decided to do with our lives. We decided to do this forever, and we're okay with that.
Of course.
So if you are finding us for the first time because it was Superman, just know every episode is pretty much like this. So anyway, I was about to say, wait till the next episode where we're breaking down the Congo. So anyway.
Now we cut to...
Oh, well, she mentions the thing about the earthquake, and she's bitching at Superman. And he's like, I was a little busy, Lois. And Jimmy stops the kiss, because they're about to kiss, and Jimmy stops it. So we actually don't get a kiss between Lois and Clark in this movie. I was kind of surprised by that. I thought that we would have seen that.
There's so much sexual tension that you'd expect a kiss.
Yeah.
But we have to wait for it.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, we'll get into that.
Anticipation. And we need more love.
We need more love and romance.
I need more poems in the sky.
So Superman says he has something to do and he leaves. And Jimmy's like, "Oh, Miss Lane, if Clark were here," I'm so mad that Clark didn't get to see this. I don't know why he says this. And
I don't even know why he says this either, because it's like Clark wasn't supposed to go on the trip with you.
No, what does Clark matter? He doesn't matter. And Lois says, "Clark, he's never around when." Nah,
no
never mind.
Shit. He was back in the office.
Yeah, it makes you feel like there were adventures going on that we didn't see.
Right, like I
running
missed.
Down
what
Superman.
did I miss?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden she's with Superman, and then she sees Clark, and then she sees Superman, and then she sees Clark.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It must happen a lot more often.
Yeah.
Than we're led on to believe.
That's okay though. Like think about like Spider-Man. There's like montages of like
Of course.
adventures or stuff like that. So Superman drops off Luthor and Otis at a random jail.
No, I think it's what's the one that's on the island?
Alcatraz.
I think it's Alcatraz.
I think it was closed by 1978. Was it? Let's see. I want to see.
Because it looks like it could be Alcatraz.
1963.
Damn. Okay, never mind.
So it wasn't Alcatraz.
It just looks like it could be. So yeah, some random
maybe
prison
maybe
Metropolis,
I mean maybe it was like
Metropolis is Alcatraz.
Yeah, Metropolis is Alcatraz. So Metropolis. So this is where Luthor reveals his bald head. He takes his wig off and he's like, "It's Lex Luthor, criminal mastermind." Which I guess he's just mad because I think he's mad that the warden didn't recognize him. So he's like, "God damn it, I have to take this wig so that you know who I am."
Good evening, Warden. I think these two men should be safe here with you now so they can get a fair trial.
Who is it, Superman?
Lex Luthor, the greatest criminal mind of our time.
Of our time?
I hereby serve notice.
He's serving notice to you.
That these walls
here.
Will you shut up, please, you?
All right, take them away, boys.
Oh, you.
Don't hit me now.
Guard.
Because he's also a master of disguise like Superman. I put on a wig and you don't know who I am.
I do like that he is trying to go into this rant about how the jail's not like these walls won't, and they like stop him because Otis is trying to do it too.
Right.
And they're like, "Yeah, just take him away." And then the final line actually got to me for a second. Like I actually felt a little.
Hold on. I do like that Superman says goodnight to the warden.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I like this little bit. It actually it made me feel warm. It made me feel swell because the warden is like, "Thanks, Superman," and he says, "You don't have to thank me, Warden. We're all part of the same team. Good night." And it's like that's the final word of the movie. Like it makes sense. It's so Superman to just tell the audience good night. And I like that he says we're all part of the same team.
I do like that.
He is the hero that we don't deserve. He is the optimistic hero that we don't deserve as humans. He's going to be there to save the world, and we don't have to thank him. He's just doing what he thinks is right. I like that. I like that. That's the tone.
That's
and it just goes. It's the verisimilitude of it. It's very Superman in the comics. It's something I think that the Zack Snyder version should have had, and we'll get into that when we get into it. But I like that happens at the end. So then he flies off into space, and the music swells, and we get dun 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 dun. And this is where I thought Superman smiled at the camera. He kind of does, because he flies at the camera and he smiles at it, and we head to credits. And that is the end of Superman. But I will add on to this very quickly. At the very end of the credits, it says, "We will return in Superman, or next year, Superman 2. And it was reminding me very, very, very much of at the end of all these friggin' MCU movies where they'll be like, Thor will return and all of this stuff. And I don't like it when the MCU does it. I really don't like those. It only worked once because of at the end of Infinity War when they kind of played on it with Thanos. But I it's so funny because it's like people come, and I don't like it at the end of the MCU movies, but it's like, man, Superman was doing this 30 years earlier. it's just kind of funny to me that they were like, we'll be back with Superman 2! And we'll be back with Superman 2 at some point, too, on Shelf Life.
That's right.
We did it. We got to the end of Superman.
We did it.
The movie. And that means that it is time. Rachel, it is time to say, does Superman have shelf life? Does Superman make your shelf?
Do you want me to go first? Or you want me to go
I'll let
first?
you, ladies first, but if you want me to go first, I will.
I know you always make me go first. You always make me go first. You always make me describe whatever the hell we're watching.
That's our pattern. I can go first though if you want me to.
No, okay. So I'm torn.
Okay,
I'm torn.
All right.
Watching it. So this is the problem with our whole podcast, because I enjoy talking about movies. So it ends up making me like the movie probably more than the original viewing. Okay. And there were very corny parts in this. I was not a fan of that weird poem. I was not a fan of how the Lex Luthor whole thing was, honestly.
Okay.
When I first watched this, it felt
the tone of the Lex scenes or the plot.
Yes, the whole there was the plot holes with him and the kryptonite, but
sure,
the whole cartoony Lex Luthor just felt like it didn't fit.
Okay.
With the rest of the movie. Now, but like going through it again, I did like it. There was a lot of like really endearing parts. There was a lot of fun parts. I really enjoyed it. So I'm kind of torn.
Okay. I can tell you my opinion if it helps.
No.
Okay.
I don't want to hear your opinion yet. So I mean, if you want to do opinion first, and then I can tell you what I think.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I didn't know if you're trying to like convince me of one way or the other.
I'm not. I don't want to convince you. I want you to have your own.
So I like the idea of this being like one of the first superhero movies. And I liked getting to actually see it and watch it, and I enjoyed watching it, and it was really corny, and I really loved all the way they did special effects back then. So the thing is I feel like I need it to be on the shelf. It needs to be on the shelf.
Rachel doesn't.
It might not be.
It's not the movie we want. It's the Superman movie we need.
So I think I'm gonna put it on the shelf.
Okay.
For the fact that it is the first superhero movie.
Let me ask you this. Yeah, go. I mean, continue. I didn't want to cut you off.
And it was enjoyable to watch.
Okay.
I guess if we want to go, so what was your stipulation? How do we know if it's on the shelf?
It's on the shelf if it has rewatchability. And if you find it entertaining for any reason, that you would go back to revisit it and rewatch it because you enjoy it.
I would.
It has a place on your shelf.
So that's why I think it goes on the shelf, is because now like talking about it and like re-looking at it, and then I'm like, I kind of want to watch it again. You know, it's like I got that feeling all of a sudden. So I was like, you know what? I came into this thinking I'm not gonna put it on the shelf. People are gonna be pissed at me. I'm gonna put it into I'll put it in my chest of like. Of
your
goodies,
box with small soldiers, yeah.
My fun box of stuff that I'll watch, and then that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna throw it away. I'm not gonna burn it.
We've on this show, we've said there's movies that are good or great and have not put on the shelf because we're like, yeah, it's great, sure. But I it's not my type of movie, or I'm not gonna watch it again, or whatever.
You said, yeah, you didn't want Ghost. I wanted Ghost because I'm gonna watch it again because I actually enjoyed that. It was the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
This one though, I got it. It hit me now that I'm like, no, I'm gonna put it on there. So it's coming out of the chest of my original thoughts, and it's going onto the shelf, and it's gonna be cute, and we'll put a little figurine next to it, and I'm gonna like it.
I don't have any Superman paraphernalia. It would have to go next to all of my Batman stuff. And it would be Batman like looking pissed off at it.
Captain America shield.
Or a bunch of Captain America stuff, yeah.
I don't know what you're gonna say, but I think it hit shelf worthiness re-talking about it. It's like, and then right onto the shelf.
So I'll be as brief as I can, but I think at this point everyone knows how blustery I am when it comes to quote unquote important films or well-known films or well-known properties, because we've done all sorts of stuff. I, like you, thought we were going to get hated on by most of the internet because we were going to say we didn't like this movie. Because I'm not a Superman fan. I don't like corniness a lot of the time unless it fits. And
it can't be too corny that it makes you kind of cringe and feel awkward.
Yeah, like I'm okay with some campiness in the right context. I just didn't. Sure. I don't want that in superheroes for some reason, and I guess it's because I've just grown up.
You want them to feel more adult than you do want them to be for kids, because they kind of almost ruined it when they were forcing it to be only for kids.
Yeah, and I don't need everything to be dark and gritty either. Like, I don't need to get I don't need validation that I like all this kid shit because I'm an adult. Like, I really don't. I know I like kid shit because most stuff is for kids. Unless you're, doing the stock market or something.
Makes it more interesting.
Well, it's what makes money. So that's what gets made, is stuff for kids.
Well, I'm not thinking about the money. I'm just thinking about the enjoyability factor. Is that a lot of like kid stuff is more whimsical and more enjoyable.
Sure.
Otherwise it gets really dramatic and like it's.
But I mean, like Game of Thrones isn't for kids, but it has fantasy elements that are kid-like. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It's still fantasy. A lot of people would say fantasy is only for children. It's not. Bullshit. Anyways, go on.
So I thought I was going to come in this and it was going to be me trying to say, okay, I see why people like it, but it's not for me. I really thought. But I'm shocked to say I like this movie. I genuinely like this movie. It is not perfect. No, the people that tell you it's perfect, I think, have nostalgia for it. It's very flawed. It has parts that don't work. It has areas that don't work at all. But it is endearing. And it is charming.
Yes. Yeah.
And it does something that I think is... It goes back to verisimilitude. It decided to not besmirch these characters and to treat it with respect. Superman doesn't need to be dark and gritty. He just needs to be treated as the character that he is. And that's what they did. For warts and all, they did. This is the Superman movie. This is about as good as you could do for a Superman movie. Now, does it make my shelf? I really like all the Superman stuff in it. I think it's very entertaining. And I'm going to quote the late great John Madden. I think John Madden said this. John Madden said when he was evaluating Hall of Famers, and he was evaluating whether or not someone made the Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, one of the criteria that he would use in his head was, can you tell the story of football without this person? And if you couldn't tell the story of football without that person, they went in the Hall of Fame. And he used that for players and non-players alike. Like, he used it for the Sables and he used it for owners and different people. Sure. It's one of the reasons why he's in the Hall of Fame. You can't tell the story of football without John Madden. I don't think you can tell the story of superheroes without this movie. I think whether it's comic books or movies or TV shows, you can't understand where they came from without this Superman 1978 movie. So that sways me a little bit more too.
Sure.
But in general, I really did like this movie. I don't know if I'll buy the 4K or not, or if I'll just enjoy having it on digital, but
digital shelf counts.
It has shelf life. It's on my shelf as well.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm shocked. I really did not think this one was going to be on my shelf.
We both did the same thing, though. It's one of those weird things where we came into it going, oh, well, I'm not really a Superman fan, and it's probably really campy and silly. So
and it is.
There's
silly parts.
And it was campy
dumb
and silly.
Parts. Yeah.
But it was
it's
fun charming, and it surprised me, and I liked Lois. So, I don't know.
And I liked all the horniness.
God, that sexual tension. Can't wait for what's happening in
and
Superman 2.
And look, There were plenty of parts where I think they could have done some stuff better. I do think that some of this stuff could have been done better. I actually think it should have been longer. But as it is, it still makes the shelf. It's just, I would totally understand. I understand both sides. If somebody were to take our advice and watch this based on us saying it has shelf life and go, I don't get it, I don't like this at all, I would understand, because it's
well, that's just because everybody has their own opinions.
It's different taste. Yeah. But ours is the true opinion. As much as you can like, dislike, or hate a movie, we are the truth. I would totally get if someone was like, this is garbage. And I get the people that love it. I don't love it, but I do think it has a place on the shelf.
Yeah.
Any other further thoughts on that, Rachel, before I take us out? Okay. So that is Superman the movie from 1978, directed by Richard Donner. Right. Rachel, cross it off the list. It is on the shelf. And I have been Kevin.
And I'm Rachel.
This has been Shelf Life. We will see you next time. Dun, 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 dun.
No, sir. Don't thank me, Warden. We're all part of the same team. Night.